probably get some music while we wait. Localhost 3000. Good morning. How are you guys doing? I'm going to try to follow the schedule. I don't have any music at the moment, and I'm trying to decide about that because the music can be good, but it also can take away from being able to hear. Sometimes you get the music at the wrong level. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to go over logistics and stuff in a second. Technically speaking, we won't be, may the 4th be with you, we won't be officially starting until 10 minutes after the hour, and that's on purpose. So I'm just getting a few things set up here. And that's because that's what we're going to do as our schedule. I'll talk about that, but we're going to be starting segments every 10 minutes after the hour, and we're going to be ending segments 5 minutes to the hour so people can take breaks and stuff. Where is he? How are you? Assuming I'm here. Can you see me, Data? Can you not see me somehow? Yes, we're going to talk about all the logistics. And we're gonna do all of that. But the first thing I want to put on the line on the screen is the schedule, which I'm gonna go ahead and set up a previewer for. So let me preview this. All right. So yeah. So welcome to RWXGG. And we're going to be starting on the session time breakdown. So as I said, segment 1 will begin at 11:10. I'm going to try to stay on time. I'm going to try to stay on topic. And I am going to play piano music, I've just decided. How's that? I mean, piano music is relatively tame. I like my piano music, I gotta tell you. Even if I can't hear it right now. Wait, why isn't it playing? It's so low. Oh, I think I turned it all the way down. Is it still playing? Yes, we're not. The books, guys, books are kind of premature. But yeah. I mean, it's pretty mellow piano. Oh wow, nice. A lot of people have a lot of ways that they study. I'm gonna tell you right now, the only music I'm ever gonna play is gonna be piano, just because it's universal and it's consistent, and I don't believe it's under copyright, so it's not gonna get my VOD muted. Yeah, and I don't want it to ever kind of overcome the other sound. In fact, it's really, the sound balances are super important since this is going to become a video. I am going to go AFK for just a bit. We start at 11:10 on the dot. I'm gonna really try hard to be really punctual for all the people who've sacrificed to be here on time. And if you're not here, you are online. You're on YouTube probably, and we welcome you there too. I'll just say in advance that this is going to go on YouTube, and the plan right now, this is all very experimental. The plan is, of course, is for me to just publish these VODs as they come out, and they'll be going to there. Wow, that's amazing. So I would like to add that we do have a Discord. If you don't know about the Discord already, you're welcome to hop in there. In fact, I am going to go set mine up. I I will be broadcasting and connecting to voice 1, or maybe voice 2, actually, now since we got people in voice 1. Do you want to... So I'm going to go ahead and jump in voice 2. We haven't really set up an invite system for this yet. Zeros. So hey Scream, how's it going? I'm going to make a playlist for the YouTube. Yeah, there's already a playlist. Yep, there's going to be a playlist here. This first day is just getting to know you. So, and we'll talk about it a little bit more later in the logistics when we talk about the logistics. If you haven't done so yet, if you want to get ready, I've been changing stuff up to the last second. So, I'm going to disconnect from this. But we do have a Discord. We're going to go through that. However, I'm gonna leave the Discord off for this first day. Yes, there is the invite. Thank you for that. And I'm gonna take a quick break. I will be right back at 11:10. So just relax, get ready, take a look at RWXGG. I suppose I'm going to have to highlight this video to get all the fish out. You're not late. Did I say 11? God damn it. I already screwed up. So, these aren't really classes. We teach ourselves. You do teach yourselves. But, you know, I gotta tell you, you know what? There's something electric. I know, I already did. I'm not officially going on YouTube yet with any of this. I swear I'm not going to swear. So, that's like a big part of this, right? let me go ahead and go here. It's going to be hard for me too because, you know, we've only got a couple of minutes here, but because I am so used to just being me, I did use an F word in the documentation, and I hope it doesn't. It's totally appropriate, but I might have to fix that. All right, nice guys. So rwx.gg, if you want to get started, and we're going to be doing day 1. I'm so excited. Yes, rwx.gg, which has been, I've been editing. Oh, you like the mug? It's pretty cool, huh? This, you know what I really love about this? Day 1, hour 0, the very first one of what I hope will be a long-standing tradition. Totally appropriate. Copyright your mentor. Yeah, I mean, it's like one of the very few times when I really felt like I needed one. It may be the only one. It'd be like an Easter egg, like a swear word Easter egg. I've changed some stuff around even within this morning. So at 11:10, I'm going to start talking like I'm talking on YouTube. If that sounds funny to you, that's okay. I'll still be reading the chat today. I want you today to have kind of a fun feel. So, depending on how much volume we get in the chat, me changing things? I change things all the time. Like every day I change things and then I change it back. So in a few seconds here, I'm going to go ahead and reset. Excuse me. All right. Well, it's 11:10 and we're going to go ahead and start the first day of the first Linux beginner boost. This is really, really experimental. I'm having a blast, but I'm also sort of nervous. You know, I gotta tell you, it's kind of exciting. The chat has been wanting this for a while. We've been kind of like, this all came about rather organically. And so welcome. And let me just, if you want to follow along, come join us in this crazy chat. This will be the first of the series that I'm going to actually put on YouTube. So I'm going to try to behave, try to use the proper terms. It turned out May the 4th was our first day. I did not plan that, but boy, I could not have planned a better first day. You know, May the 4th, they were saying I should dress up like a Jedi and all this. And I'm like, no, I just want to get the first day's curriculum done. And if you guys know anything about education, you know it's pretty tough to organize everything. But the excitement goes both ways. So people here are overwhelmingly supportive and excited. They got the same first day, bugs in their stomach. You know, what's the word for that? And we're all nervous. I actually really like it. It's kind of fun that we have this kind of beginner feel. But I have the jitters too, because there's all this expectation around this thing that's very informal. And so it's going to be fun. The first thing we're going to have to talk about is what we actually are going to do and what we're not going to do, right? So I can set your expectations properly. Because this is not going to be like anything that you've ever experienced in traditional education. First of all, we'll just get into it. So let me just read the introduction. We're going to do Hello World today. We actually will, and we probably will do Hello World in several languages, depending on how many languages you want to do today. I mean, it's always fun to write code on the first day. And in fact, as recently as this morning, I changed the order of what would be on the day because I wanted to have at least a little bit of code today, and I wanted to not just have all the logistics and other stuff. So probably the first thing you should understand is I am going to change things a lot, even in the middle of this big, huge, wonderful educational experiment. Which, by the way, is how I got my start. Just let me introduce myself. I've been teaching informally for like 7 years. Pretty much been sort of a teacher my whole life, but never officially, other than I worked for a private school. I worked for a community college teaching web development. And I left all of that because I didn't want to, frankly, do it their way. I wanted to be able to do it my way. So I started what I call a mentor community, and I have been happily mentoring people for the last 6 or 7 years on my own. And so I've got a lot of practical experience helping people learn things, but not a lot of formal training in academic educational spheres. And if I had one thing that I would want to learn, it would be neurology, or it'd be psychology, because I think understanding how your brain works is really the most important thing. And so my whole approach is largely just more of a mentoring thing. If you want to read about me, blah, 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 go read my LinkedIn. You can see other things I've done in life. I don't want to make the beginner boost too much about me. You'll get enough of that on the stream if you come any other time. We get pretty crazy on the stream by doing all kinds of silly things and hacking and writing code and messing around to, Fatboy Slim videos. We do a lot of crazy stuff here. So come on back anytime if you want to for the informal stuff. But you're going to have a lot to do if you're registered for Beginner Boost. In fact, let's start there. B-Boost is a flipped and intense open course in Credential. And some of these links, you'll have to forgive me, don't work. Some do. I'm writing it as we go. A lot of it's already been written in other places, and I'm just kind of consolidating it together for the purposes of this series that we're doing. Here we have a question. Zero says, one question above was, do people need their VM loaded for today? Absolutely not. Okay, so today we're going to talk about prereqs right away. Just let me finish this introduction on the title page and we'll jump right into prereqs. So B-Boost is the flipped and intense open course. What does that mean? And open credential. We're going to read about all of those things. But it basically means is that everything's free, and that means you can take anything and you don't have to worry about having me come sue you or anybody else come sue you. In fact, if you want to copy these YouTube videos and put them on your own YouTube channel, I don't care, as long as you do the attribution thing, which is like, and you share alike if you make any changes. So here we go. Chances are you haven't experienced anything like it in traditional education. You'll need more than this app, and this, by the way, this website is a web app, and we'll get into that later. At some point, you'll be able to search it locally without having Google access or internet access at all. But don't worry, join the community. We got you. And that's really what this is about. This is more about our community, but even more than our community, it's about you. It's about you. You are taking this on. This is your exciting learning opportunity, and I think that's where a lot of the excitement comes from on our first day, is that we realize that we're going to, this just that we generally get very excited. Education goes deep with people when it's their education, and so I think that's why, and it's fun. But we're here for support. So what do you learn? First of all, you learn how to set yourself up to be an effective, tech-focused autodidact. And if you click on that, it takes you to what an autodidact is. And we're going to return to this, but an autodidact is one who takes learning into their own hands, either because they prefer it or are forced to for lack of other resources. An autodidact reads, writes meticulous notes, and executes tests to gain new knowledge and skills. Failure is an integral part of the learning process to an autodidact. They don't fear it, they seek it and are intrigued by it. So becoming an autodidact is the most essential skill anyone will ever master. Without it, you simply cannot progress on your own. So many enter the workplace without learning this important skill. Perhaps you have encountered them. They tend to come over and ask you a lot of questions and usually come off as needy and unprofessional. But don't be that person. Learn to do your own research. Learn to answer your own questions. And learn to really look at things. And if there's one skill that you take away from this 16 weeks, if you don't take away the skill of being able to do your own research and answer your own questions and set up your own practice and your own exercises, then you just might not have succeeded at doing the most basic thing that I really envision for people here. If you don't get that, you can't succeed at anything else, because when you get out in the tech world, what are you going to do? There's not going to be anybody to ask questions. Maybe you've got a community, right? So here we go. Ironically, few traditional schools spend any time at all helping you learn this skill. It is almost as if such organizations were motivated to make you dependent on them instead of yourself, but probably not. That's me being a little cynical. Those who study humanity say that the collective ability to pass on knowledge to the next generation, even after we have died, is the single greatest reason humans have rocketed past all the other species in growth and progress. Whether you believe this or is because of natural science or some greater metaphysical force, it is a fact that we can observe. So this learning thing is a big part of our existence here. It might not be the sole purpose of life, but it definitely is involved with enjoyment and everything, and that's why we get excited. So occasionally you're going to see me reading, by the way, from the stuff that I've written here, but most of it's going to be stuff that you can go back and read to on your own. All right, so let's go to the overview, and let's see how it yeah, let's see, you got some questions here. I'm going to take a quick little break here. How long should we be researching your question before we ask you to help? That's a good question. I don't know. That's a tough one. What do you guys think? I'll tell you what, let's start with the minimum. You should read what's on the page. Okay, you should have at least done, let's put some structure around that. You should have at least done one Google search. You know, when I was formulating the kind of the structure of this, everybody that was helping me, they all said, you have to teach them how to Google on the first day. You know, it's like you've got to. Oh, he's saying he was waiting for this for a whole month. That's nice. We have a Russian in the chat. You should avoid frustration. Yes. So if you haven't even Googled a question, we're going to use links. Yes. And if you haven't even, you know, looked at the screen in some cases, one of the ones that well, we're going to talk about this. One of the ones that triggers me the most is when people ask what day it is, or what time zone I'm in, or what are we working on, and not Google, DuckDuckGo. We're going to talk about that too. All right, so let's quickly look. We're doing really good on time for this first segment. In fact, I have a strong feeling we're going to burn through this first week's material in the first segment, or in the first day, and so when we get to that, let's talk about that. So first of all, what are the prerequisites? What do you need to know? So for example, we have this course requires that you be able to read, write, and do math, generally required of a teenager in most developed countries. Some of the stuff I'm going to read right now, but you can go read it on your own. This is under rwx.gg/prereqs. I'm just looking at it locally here. So this says here, you should be 13 or older, required by law. I have to say that because, you know what? You're not supposed to be on Twitch if you're not 13. You're not even supposed to be on Google or Gmail or whatever, YouTube if you're not 13. Doesn't matter though. That's up to you. I'll let you make the decision. But I will say this, and this is something new for those who have been following this as I prepare. I'm setting the bar at about 16 and older in terms of capacity that I'm expecting. So what that means is that if you are, you know, generally, if you look around, you start to go for if you're under 13. So let me just say, you should, 16, about 6, the mind and abilities of a 16-year-old is usually what I'm going to be speaking and writing to. Okay. And I got to tell you, that's a change because all through the preparation, I have been saying that I want to make this available for a 12-year-old because I private mentor some 30, 40 people, and most of them are under 16. And so them going through this stuff would be a challenge. I mean, they're still going to go through this stuff. They're just going to go through it in a much longer fashion, not so intensely. So let's keep going. Do I have a computer with a keyboard and a mouse? I have to say that because people don't. People think that they have a keyboard, and that, I mean, they have a computer and it doesn't have a keyboard and a mouse. Well, you can use a laptop with a touchpad if you want, but I'm suggesting really strongly that you make sure you have a computer with a keyboard and a mouse, because we're going to talk about how to use your mouse. You might think you know how to use your mouse. You actually don't. We're gonna talk about how Douglas Engelbart invented the mouse to have 3 buttons, to use the middle mouse button to click and paste, and we're gonna actually play around with that. So yeah, tablets won't cut it. If you want to watch on a tablet, that's fine. All right, so you need to have a computer that's a compatible computer operating system. All right. So, yeah. So let's say, for example, if you have Windows 10 or above, when it has to be Windows 10, it doesn't have to be greater than that. Okay. You need Mac 0 or above, which is actually a really old release of Mac. But you can pull that off if you want. I'm just going to say it. You won't be punished for having a Mac, but there's some things that on a Mac are going to be a little bit more quirky than if you had Windows or a Linux machine. And we're going to deal with that right away. But just to get started, if you have a Mac, that's fine. And then if you have any Linux at all, if you've already installed Linux because you're already there, then that's fine. In fact, if that's you, you're probably going to be bored for the whole running Linux section. But you can chime in and help the community, and that's what's really great is we have some people here that are extremely experienced. I mean, we have some highly experienced people here in the community, and they are here to help us make the move and may help you. So again, asking questions there, and I'm going to come back to that question about when you can ask questions when we talk about logistics in a bit. No Chromebooks. One of the biggest mistakes people have made in the educational realm is that they have given Chromebooks to people, and they cannot. There's things on the Chromebooks you can't do. Okay, for example, you cannot install a terminal, or you cannot access a computer terminal. You can't. A lot of people who have Chromebooks can't even install software on the thing. If you have a Chromebook and you've installed a terminal on your own, you can like make adjustments here. Nobody's going to come out there and banish you from using a Chromebook, but you're going to hit struggles if you use it. And we've had people try to use Chromebooks to get through this material, and they can't do it, which I feel like is kind of sad, So anyway, able to use a computer with a graphic web browser. So able to use a computer with a graphic web browser. I have to say that because if for some reason, I mean, I don't want to smash your hopes and dreams, but if for some reason you're unable to operate a computer and a graphical web browser, this is probably not going to be the course for you. I welcome you, and I'm happy to have you with us. But there's people who face certain disabilities and other things that are going to prevent that from happening. So I just want to be open about that. You need to be able to type 30 words a minute from home row. And if you can't do that, and I've had people who started here who typed like 13 words a minute, and they worked up fine. In fact, one of them, I should say his name. He started out at 15 or 16 words a minute, and by the end, he was typing 60 or 70 words a minute, and I was really proud of him. I mean, because he could barely navigate with one finger until the end of that. So we're going to talk about typing again later, but typing is a big deal. You need to know how to type, and you need to do it from home row. You can't cheat, guys. You're going to need to learn a home row. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a bit. Let me just fix my browser here. All right, so what do we got? The chat, I imagine you guys are taking care of the chat for me. All right, type 30 words a minute, perform algebraic operations and write functions. If you don't know what that means, then you need to figure out what that means, okay? My son and I, actually my son was a teacher too for a while, and we were trying to figure out we were trying to get around what the biggest problem was. For some reason, we noticed, and particularly in the younger, I'm saying like the 9 to 16 year old crowd, right? That there was a significant block to learning coding, and we spent a lot of time putting our heads together trying to figure out what it was, and we didn't do any science on this. But our best conclusion was that those who had, and in one case, there was one outlier case where the boy had taught himself algebra at like 10. And so he already had algebra knowledge. And I actually asked him, I said, how did you learn? Because we were doing kind of an informal survey to see, because our hypothesis was that those who had algebraic math were just knocking out the code, no problem. They had no problem grasping what functions were because they're, algebraically related. And so we started asking questions. We're like, but then we had a couple of outliers, and we had this. I just put Harry Potter as a term in terms of vocabulary. You don't have to actually like it. But so anyway, we had this. We had this one or two outliers, and we asked the one. It's like, well, how come you're so good at this coding stuff? Do you know math? Do you know algebra? Oh yeah. It's like, well, when did they teach algebra in your school? Well, not till you're 12 or 13. I say, but so how do you know algebra? Oh, I taught myself when I was 10. So he went out and talked about an autodidact. Oh my gosh. This guy actually went out to the internet and taught himself algebra when he was like 9 or 10. And so that doesn't have to be everybody, but the reason I'm telling you this is because, the reason I'm telling you all of this stuff is because we were able to put our heads around what the difference was. And in this case, as soon as you understand algebra, coding kind of flows from when it comes time to do it. So if you can type and you can understand what a function is in algebra, and actually it was so bad when I was teaching young people, I actually had to stop and teach what a function was. Teach algebraic functions. I had to teach what an operator was. In other words, plus and minus and all of those kind of things. But if you have math, computer science kind of stems from mathematics. That's a stretch, but there's a lot of correlation there. And so you can. So the long and short of it is that it's really important that you understand the basics of algebra. I'm not talking about pre-algebra. I'm talking about basic algebra. If you don't understand basic algebra, then some of this coding that we're just going to jump right into is going to assume you know that already, and it's going to get a little bit hard. Okay, you can't be like Scream, who's got his physics PhD. If you haven't had problems with math, I'm sure there's people in here who can help you. So anyway, what else we got? So, and again, I put reading Harry Potter. Apparently that's triggered several people in the chat. I'm sorry. So I love Harry Potter. It takes me everything in me to not play Harry Potter while I'm coding, because that's what I usually do it's one of the few. I really love it. This has got everything in it that I really value. They're challenging the educational institutions. I frequently refer to non-technical people as muggles that need to be dealt with caution. Because you just never know what you're going to get. They might get too scared and they might lock you up. Actually, it's funny. I had one person that I mentored use a terminal on his Mac during school, and he was sent to the principal's office for hacking because the kid next to him tattled on him and said, this I almost said his name. It's like, he's hacking. He's like, I'm just using the terminal. He was just editing a file on the terminal, and they sent him to the principal's office. No kidding. That actually happened. So you just don't know when you start to get wizardry skills, witches and warlocks out there. When you start to learn these dark magic skills, what might happen. So just be careful with your skills, people. So yeah. Anyway, so let's go back. We're going to go back to overview, and here we go. We have this course and how it's organized. So those are the prerequisites. How are we doing on time? Okay, so we're going to go for the first segment. We're going to go until 5 to the hour, top of the hour. Not unlike other courses, you probably already gathered this. I've already talked about it a lot. And I'm going to go ahead and click on here. So in many ways, this course is exactly the opposite of courses you have had in the past. Hey, Mouse. So no assignments, only suggestions and collaboration. No lessons, just explanation and discussion. No you versus the test or others. It's just you versus you. And I want to punch that. It's you versus you. Don't think you're competing against anybody else. No grades, only finished projects that you decide. You get to decide what they are. No teachers, just experienced people here to help. And that goes for me. And I cannot tell you how much I have already learned on this stream since I started streaming. Twitch is one of the great, unspoken miracles of education that is, undiscovered, let's say. Because, I came over here just to, rub shoulders with other people in coding and stuff. And after 2 or 3 months, my skills shot through the roof. So, I've been trying to add, pen testing officially to my skills, and, Rust coding and some of this, even assembly and things like that. And these are all things that people are doing on the stream here on Twitch. This gaming platform is actually one of the most educational platforms out there, and I think it's very undiscovered by the educational community. And yes, I'm pushing Twitch here on YouTube if you're watching this from YouTube, but we all know they have a very wonderful symbiotic relationship, so I don't feel like YouTube's again. By the way, you're not going to get this video tonight. Okay, so just so everybody knows, I probably should mention that. I am only going to, thanks for the subs, guys. I'm only going to publish this within the affiliate rules, which are I have to wait 24 hours for these to get published. So you can of course watch the VODs the same day on Twitch, but it will not go out to YouTube. And if I do it well, it'll be automated, and it won't go out until 24 hours, until after that time. And I'm going to try to keep it within 24 hours, but I can't guarantee that. All right, so let's see. No classmates. There's no one sitting next to you to poke you or throw spitballs at you. There's just a community of people learning. There's no jobs, just confidence and trust that you can foster. And we're going to come back to that a lot. We're going to get back to what am I going to get out of this question? If you are comfortable with this level of personal responsibility and expectation, then this course might, if you're uncomfortable with this, then it might not be for you. Either way, know that you are among friends, not competitors. Can I just really emphasize that? We are here to help you. We are really here to help you. We are not going to put you down. Okay, and we're going to get to this. There's one F-bomb in my documentation that shall remain. We are all learning something and having something to help, and we all have something to help others learn. Some of us just got started earlier, and I cannot punch that more. Target occupations. So this is really important. Okay, the target occupations are the occupations that have been used for us to decide what it is that goes in, right? There's so much to learn in technology, but one of the biggest challenges is knowing what to learn. And before you can even know what to learn, you have to know what you want to do, and that's even a bigger challenge. And then you have to know who you are, and then it gets really metaphysical really fast. We're going to talk about these topics. These topics are things that are not covered in most educational, organizations, and you need to answer these questions, or you're not going to be able to answer any of the other questions. Where do I going to work? What kind of job do I get? What language should I learn? You can't answer those questions until you know who you are, you know what you like, you know what your skills are, and by the way, that's how you'll find your passion and your motivation. I'm not into coding. I don't like it. Well, okay, find something else. So we're going to talk about that later, but it relates to these target occupations, because these occupations are what are guiding us in this community to make decisions about what to cover. Okay, so for example, let's take containers. So Docker containers. Some of you might know what they are. If you don't, that's fine. Does a senior software developer need a container? Use containers? Absolutely. They need to know how to make a container and release their code. Does they could get away without it, but the consensus would generally say you should probably know that. Cybersecurity professionals, they need containers? Probably. Same kind of thing. Full stack web developers? Maybe not. Linux systems administrator? Okay, containers, yeah, that's like what they live about. That's probably more of a DevOps position these days. Site reliability engineer, what does that even mean? Well, that's a term from Google that kind of replaces the system administrator with somebody who can code and do. There's a whole book on it. So yeah, they definitely need to know about containers because it's a way of putting applications all over in the enterprise. IoT embedded Linux device developer, they probably don't need containers at all. You can make a case. You can usually stretch and make a case to use containers for any one of these things and say, oh yeah, it would be beneficial. But is it required? Is it required to say, this is a role that I can fill? And it's not necessarily a job, it's a role. And I really like looking at things that way. So anyway, when you look at the when we look at the skills that we have here, so let's take an easy one. Knowing how to use Linux. Okay, so just even knowing how to use the Linux command line, does a software developer need to know that? Well, you could get away without it, but no, our community really feels like that's essential. If you don't know Linux today as a software developer, you're kind of in trouble. Cybersecurity professional, hell yeah. I mean, by the way, hell and damn are not swear words to me. So, cybersecurity professional, yes. Oh my gosh, yes, right? Full stack web developer. Full stack, not front end, full stack. Full stack meaning you know the back end. Well, the back end is Linux 90% of the time, so yeah, you need to know it. Linux system, no kidding, yeah. Site reliability engineer, yes. You're going to be pushing stuff around with automations. You're going to need that. IoT embedded device developer. Most embedded devices, not all, but a lot of embedded devices are running Linux or even customized versions of the Linux kernel. So Linux applies to all of these things. So if you're a contributor and you want to start helping me write out this material, or if you are someone who's trying to make a decision about whether this is for you, that'll maybe help you, guide you in deciding. There are occupations that don't land here that might not be interesting to you or might not be covered. Okay. Okay. Thanks for all the stuff, guys. Contributors. So weekly topics. So this is where we really get into the meat of the stuff. So this course is primarily organized by weeks. Each week is divided into 5 sessions, matching the days of the week. Okay, so let me just pause and take a break and kind of put a line here. So I need people to pay attention, because this is the answering the question, what are we going to cover and when? And I have an editor in another window open, and we can change this right now. So if there is not enough, or if there's too little or too much, since the beginning, all 6 or 7 years of my doing this, I have always had an editor open and been modifying the curriculum, the material, the outline, everything organically as it's changed. I've even asked people in a class, while I was in a class, which example here is clearer to you? Because I was thinking about a new example, and they all voted for one of the examples, and the class actually participated in changing my content. And I just want to put an invite out to anybody who's out there. If anybody wants to help me build this content, this is community-driven content. It's already had several contributions from other people, and it's not just the Mr. Rob show. This is a community. So if everybody wants to help with that, to be an editor, that's fine. We can go through and do that. So let's click on day. I'm going to zoom. We're going to come back to getting started. This is this week, but let me just do the breakdown. So each week is divided into 5 sessions, matching the days of the week, Monday through Friday. Questions and discussions about the weekly topic are always welcome, even if they don't fit a specific topic of any 40-minute segment. This is a segment, and we're going to get to the breakdown in a second. Segments are there to guide discussion, not limit it. So if you have a question that is from day 1 in the week and it's day 5 of the week, ask it, and we'll talk about when that's appropriate and stuff. But generally speaking, you can ask the question anytime, anywhere, and you can do that here. You can do it in the Discord. There's people here to help you. All right, so back to let's see here. Remember, you can work on things in advance and research out your own mentoring community. So there's nothing. Some of this stuff you might want to do in advance. And I'm going to try to go through it. Not all of it has material completely fleshed out. Just so you guys know, I'm transferring a lot of the material over from another organization, skillstack.io, which is my private mentoring business. And a lot of this content is coming from there. So I'm in the middle of doing all of that. But I think I got enough runway to keep us going ahead of time, which is, it's kind of like I have to race ahead of the train of the course, because I know you guys are coming, but that's good because I can adapt it based on what's been going on rather than trying to finish all 16 weeks of material in advance. Got really ignorant. So here we go. Getting started. Then knowledge as source. This is a really, really important concept. How to manage your knowledge as source code. How to think of knowledge, written material in particular, as source code, and how to manage it that way. Learning to work and learn. This is, live in the question. Don't be satisfied with quick answers. Questions lead us on a quest. Seek your own answers, and not just what other people tell you. Become the authority of your own life and learning. So we're going to get, a little bit metaphysical, but we're going to kind of help go on a journey within to try to figure out how to teach yourself. And I've got a whole week on that. And at one point I was thinking that might be too long, but it might maybe half a week. I'm trying to shorten stuff up here because I want to make some more time for the languages, which are going to be definitely harder. So I might crunch these together, just so you know. But I do think we need to not underserve this particular topic. It's super important. And then, oh, I can hear my wife in the background. You're going to hear RWX wife on occasion step in. Yeah. And so running Linux. So this is a full week. This is going to be how to get Linux on how to start running Linux. There's so many different ways to run Linux. You can run it from the command line. You can run it from WSL. You can install your own virtual machine. You can install it on hardware. You can do dual boot. There's lots and lots and lots of options, and it can be really it can be really overwhelming when that's happening. So just know that you're free to choose what option you want, but we're going to suggest some specific options based on your needs. Okay. And we're going to take, the community is going to help you, and they're going to take everything into consideration, and they're not just going to say, use Archer, you're a plebe. Right? If you say that, what happens, guys? I forgot. So let me keep going down here. Current calendar. Here's the calendar. If you want to, by the way, these scissors-y things are things you can click on if you want to zoom in. So we are currently this week right here, and that'll give you a sense of where we are. Session time breakdown. So as you can see, we started at 10 minutes after the hour. That allows people to get set up at 11 o'clock. And then we're going to get going. 11:55, I'll be taking a break. And then we won't start for another 15 minutes. And 11, this is to keep me and my voice working, because I'm going to be doing a lot of talking for 3 hours straight every day. And I need to ensure that my voice keeps working. So we'll take a break, and we'll have segment 2 and 3. So these are 40-minute segments. Which I've read is the maximum average human attention span. So we'll go see about that. We will also be probably, I haven't decided yet, but we will probably be splitting the videos between that. So let me ask the chat really quick. What do you guys think? Would you rather have every day? Would you rather have 3 separate videos for each segment? Or would you rather have one like almost 3-hour video for the whole day? What would you prefer? Because one, okay. All right, thanks guys. Then I will go ahead and consider. I'm going to go ahead and consider chopping out. Do you think 3 is better for the YouTube algorithm? Well, for the YouTube algorithm, I'm going to have other content that's going to be more valuable. This is going to be, again, a lot of discussion and stuff. So I think what I'll do is I will, I'll probably chop out the break times, so that, yeah, okay, gotcha, thanks. So then, again, this is what the great thing about this, right? It'll be a pretty long video, but yeah. Yeah, well, I'm just saying, I am publishing on YouTube. I did run some numbers for fun. I got a little teased by running these numbers, but numbers are sometimes fun to get a sense of how much is going on. So we're talking about 16 weeks, 5 sessions per week, which is a lot. This is, an intense boost camp. This is the same kind of thing you would expect from college or something if you took like a 10 credit hour course, so 3-hour sessions. 15 total session hours per week. So just being here is already a 15-hour a week, whether you do it online or off on YouTube. It's going to be 15 hours just to keep up. That's a lot. And so I don't want people to feel bad if they fall behind. If you fall behind, it's probably expected. So please feel free to, catch up. That's what the VODs are for. Anyway, so, and then this is another thing I want people to understand too. And I finished my day 1 yesterday, and then I looked at this again, and I was like, I don't think I have enough for them to do. So for those people who are actually putting in the time, the actual time, and we have a lot of people who are doing that we're talking about an additional 25 hours a week. So that's a 40-hour week. And I want everybody to understand, I don't want you to get frustrated, but I want you to understand that the way this course is organized is it's designed for somebody to put at least 40 hours a week of their time into learning. It's designed for someone who may not have a job, or who may be considering other things, or is off for the summer, and so they really, really want to cram and get intense with this, and not just cram, but they want to do it over time. So we're talking about 40 hours a week for 16 weeks. That's a monstrous commitment. In fact, that's actually 640 hours, just that. But on average, it takes more than 2,200 hours or so to really get to the point where you could be employed. So that means you're going to need to do additional work on projects and stuff like that. So if you see a lot of material on the outline, please just know that that's what's going on. Okay. So here we go. We have 15 total session hours, 40-hour total a week, 40 minutes per segment, 3 segments per session, 80 total sessions, 32 weekends, 112 days. So it's about 100 days, and there's the 100-day challenge on Twitter. 240 total segments, 3,000 pages of reading, and you already probably have noticed I'm backwards here. So that's just because I don't. It looks weird when I look like that, and that's what you would see normally if I didn't flip my camera. But we're going to be reading all kinds of books like this. In fact, by the end, we're going to read a stack of them that's about this high. And if you don't get through the books, that's fine. Just take it at your own pace. Don't stress out, okay? This is about you learning in your way. A lot of these books, by the way, are not dense textbook material. You guys have seen the textbooks where it takes you like 10 minutes for each page. No, these are usually kind of like they got exercises in them and stuff like that. So these books are the core, and we're going to talk about why I still feel like books are a thing, and how come I changed my own beliefs about books. I at one time was in the camp who felt like books were a waste of time because they were, particularly tech books, because they were so subject to falling out of date and stuff like that. So that's the thing. All right, so with the last 10 minutes, I'm actually going to review today's agenda, and we'll end this segment. But I think we've covered everything for today. I mean, for that first part, and we'll go through some of the other stuff that we added. So how did I get here? So I am now clicking on the first week, which is getting started. I've thought about making redirects so that you guys could go /week1, /week2, /week3, /week 4, and I'm probably going to add that. Right now, I don't have that, so I don't have any kind of like redirects set up, but that might be a good thing for you to go do. All right, so getting started. So this week is all about getting started. It's about getting to know each other. It's what we've been talking about. Getting used to how the course works, setting yourself up with apps and services, blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to spend more than 1 week on this because we got to get right down to the code. In fact, I want to code today. So let's see, course overview and goals. Okay, we talked about that somewhat. I'm going to zip through this really fast and we'll do the best we can. Actually, I did the course overview. I already went through that. What else we got? The goals. Okay, so here's the goals. There's not a lot of fancy goal making here. Okay, the goals are 1, empowerment. Every single decision I make is about empowerment. The reason that I pick JavaScript over Python is empowerment above every other thing. JavaScript empowers you more than Python. We're not going to have a language fight right here, but most of the decisions I make about a pick on technology is about how are you personally empowered, not because somebody else is going to do a thing. And in that case, JavaScript is on every single. There's probably a device that you're looking at that has JavaScript interpreter on it that you could write JavaScript code on right now without any other preparation. Not so with Python, not so with Java. And so a lot of these decisions I've made are based on personal empowerment. So yeah, anyway, and what else we got? And mastery of beginner coding and Linux skills. So that's the second number 1 goal, is I really want you to feel like you've mastered coding and Linux in a way that you're comfortable moving on to any other language you want. And I really believe that. I really believe if you do it this way, that you'll be more prepared to learn other things. And proof. The third goal is proof. Being able to prove that you learned something. And if you can't prove that you learned something, you can't build trust. If you can't prove to somebody who's going to hire you or let you into their school or higher education or their club or something like that, then you have nothing to stand on. You have no way of build. What are you doing? Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah. This is RWX's wife here. Since it's welcome day, are you going to give us your...
I don't know where my camera is.
You're on camera right here. There's a camera right there. This is RWX's wife. You'll see her all the time. Hey, how was your phone conversation? We'll talk about it. I get a break in 10 minutes. Okay. So it is welcome. So she's the one letting me do this. No, she's most of it's her idea. In fact, she was the one like 7 years ago. Let me give her 100% credit for all this, people. so she said, "Why don't you start that school you always wanted to start?" She said it in a much better voice than mine, and I was like, "Well, what do you mean? You mean, well, we could get one of these townhomes and we could live above it, and then you could like have people down at the bottom of it." I was like, "Who are you? You're the most amazing human being ever." And so a lot of this, I blame her, but she's happy. She's got her studio downstairs. She's doing her art. And so since this is a day for welcoming and introductions, I might as well introduce her because you're going to see her a lot. She comes in a lot. And she and I, to pay respects to Ardibik's wife. May you find an Ardibik's wife. Her name's Doris, by the way. And actually, I'm gonna make a little plug on this first day for her. If you want to watch her art, it may not be for everybody. So DorisKapner.com if you want to follow her art. She's actually just finished some stuff, and she's been a couple shows. She's from New York, and wonderful human being. Really glad to have her in my life. So enough of that. But I consider her a part of the team because she actually has on her LinkedIn, I think she put her title as right brain of skill stack, and I cannot tell you how many amazing ideas. She goes, well, why don't you just do blah blah blah? I'm like, that's brilliant. And she taught herself C to write little operator motors inside of some of her art, so she's not dumb by any means. She's on book 7 of the Witcher series, I think. So she's just fantastic. I can't stop talking about her. This is like, I know too much information. Okay, so back to our goals. So your goals is finding an Ardibik's wife for your own. Find somebody you can be happy with. It just really promotes who you really are. You know what I mean? So, oh God, yeah. You guys stop talking about this. You're gonna make me tear up. All right, what else we got? So let's go back. So let's do this. Okay, so people are people. Will the course help me find an encouraging wife? Yes. In fact, my wife and I joke all the time. I say, I kind of want them to see her once in a while, so they can. Full confession. It's like, you should learn code because you'll get an Ardibik's wife if you learn code. Act now. Act now to get your own Ardibik's wife included with your certificate, which we never are going to have, by the way. We're going to talk about that right now. We're going to talk about what open credentials are. Okay. Oh, it's 11:55. I'm going to take my break, which is really great. So we have a 15-minute break. Continue to talk and answer questions and have fun and all that stuff. And I'm going to put a AFK here, and I'm going to get really good at taking my breaks because I want to be here for you. And if I don't take the breaks, I'll implode. So, yeah. And hopefully you guys can take a break too. Get up and walk around. Do some yoga poses. All right. So AFK until 12:15. When we get back, we're going to talk about open credentials. We're going to get our last segment. We're going to write some code today too. So stay tuned. Yep. Ready. Did I get the time right? I got it wrong in the last one. I need the fish though. We need some more fish. Can never have too many fish. All right. See you soon. I gotta put my substitute teacher. There you go. We have to give him a name. Somebody needs to vote on his name. All right, buddy. I got you this. I'll have to move him aside. For right now, hate to reveal his identity. Stupid questions, there are none. All right. More playing with the mic. I'm a little bit early because I realized I put the wrong time. We are supposed to start at 10 minutes after the hour instead of 15, even though I wrote AFK. Open credentials. Thank you. So you can pull up all of this stuff again. You can pull up yourself if you want to read along with me. Some of this stuff I have to talk about because it's not covered anywhere else, or it was invented by the community. And in this case, that's what we're talking about. So simple yes or no. Yes. And so let's get going here. Just get my bearings again. Where is my... Here we go. All right. So I realize that we need to talk about this. So what is an open course? An open course, we skipped over that, but I'm just going to tell you what an open course is. So an open course is one where you can learn from, duplicate and modify, remix, and extend however you see fit. Or even sell your version of the content or course so long as you provide legal attribution to this original content in any derivative work and release your own work under the same terms. So basically GPL, same thing with Linux, but for content. All course content, the writing, videos, code, exercises, and projects is under Creative Commons. Here's a little bit of a thing I want to talk about. So there's a little convention I follow on the site, just so I can tell you. I put guillemets, they're called. These little angle brackets are around any content that's going to leak externally. So if you're using this web app on a phone or an iPad, and you don't want to sit around and wait for stuff to load from your remote browser, you might not want to click these. This indicates that it's an external link, bottom line. So that's what that's about. If it doesn't have that, that means it's an internal link, and that means it's just linking to something locally, and it doesn't need the internet. Eventually, right now it all needs the internet for now. But this is something I'm building, a progressive web app, for those that know what that is. So that's an open course. Open course means, do whatever you want, man. Just make sure people get credit, and make sure you give back your changes so that I can use it. But what is an open credential? Okay, so an open credential. I should make watching Aaron Swartz's The Internet's Own Child extra credit. That would be great. Open credential. What is an open credential? Now, this is something I'm not aware of any reference to something called an open credential on the internet anywhere. This is a word that came about after a really awesome, intensive mentors chat. Which, by the way, it mentors coffee chat. You can join us at 11 a.m. on on Sunday mornings if you want to practice, if you want to talk about mentoring on Discord, or you want to talk about being mentored on Discord. So that is what that's all about. And so an open credential is, yes, it's the idea of a circle of trust. Exactly. It's essentially a crowdsourced checklist of things a person should do to prove they have attained a certain level of skills, mastery, and knowledge. No one gives you an open credential. You give it to yourself when you feel you've earned it. If you don't trust yourself to make that self-assessment, you can enlist the help of one or more other experienced people to verify, it's a typo there, I need to fix that, the work you have done. Perhaps even some who make it their occupation to perform such validations professionally, which would be me and a bunch of other people even here. And whose profession entirely depends on the trustworthy quality of their validations. And so this is a rather simple concept. It's like, hey, let's just all agree on what it means to be, an artist. This is funny because my wife and I, who's an artist, we talked about this, and this is how the art community operates, or the writing community. If you say you're a writer to a writer, it has a lot of implicit meaning, and they'll immediately ask you questions. Okay, what were you published? Blah 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 blah. There's like this own kind of credential in their head that they're like checking off the boxes. Okay, yeah, you're really an artist. Okay, yeah, you're really a writer, right? The only difference between that implicit establishment of reputation and trust, and what we're planning to do is that we're writing it down. That's the only difference. We're like writing down, well, if you're going to call yourself, if you're going to call yourself, a base Linux professional, or whatever, a basic technologist, then, these are the things you really need to have to be able to say. And then we have a lot of people agree on it who are from the industry. Now, consensus doesn't always foster, good content. Case in point, Stack Exchange, Quora, anything that gets upvoted instead of actually being correct. But the idea of an open credential where the crowd is there to help establish, in this sense, consensus is a good thing. Anyway, and I actually kind of go off. Let's see here. Got some questions. If someone were to ask what kind of course this is, what would you say? I would say that this is an open course and it's a flipped course. That means that you are doing the work as much as possible outside of the course. And so then we go down, and one of the end goals is eventually to get an open credential, which is a very detailed thing, so it's not completely finished, but the course itself is molding what will become the open credential itself by the end, hopefully. So here it talks about a trust instrument. I don't want to get into the weeds on this. This is, I'm not going to even read this right here. If you want to read the justification for open credentials and the potential for them to really impact our world in a positive way, to flip corruption on its head in the credentialing industry, which is, the certificates industry, and the, corruption is killing credential systems today. It's no secret that people have often paid to beat the system, and this has been in the press a lot in 2019. You know what I'm talking about. So the flaw in the system is that no one is financially motivated to be trustworthy, because every one of these systems answers to the person providing the money, and a lot of times that's not the person being evaluated, most of the time actually. Crypto credentialing, I mean, that actually would be a fun way to do it too, but you really don't need it. In fact, what you need is you need the ring of trust, which is what GPG uses, right? So in order to establish that someone's trustworthy, you see what things that they have authorized. So if you want to read this, you can. This would be some fun conversation. But this is more about the potential of open credentials to bring free market principles and trust and reputation to bear on the idea of saying I know something, and to check it. The system checks itself. If you say you know something and you don't, the final assessment, which is ultimately the assessors who are involved in hiring you, they will do the check. And if they don't, sucks to be them, because they have to know that you know your stuff. So the final assessment is facilitated by the fact that the open credential contains specific details about the claims to skill and knowledge that can be individually validated by anyone. In other words, your body of knowledge and proof about your trustworthiness to do a job, your ability, your base, competence, is something that can be proven because you've got a lot of proof of it. And it's not because you got an A on a thing. It's because you have demonstrated it in ways that produce trust in that specific way. I cannot think of any industry profession in technology there's a lot of gates. People in like government, they require you to get certificates, but when you're actually on the job, there's not a single job I know of that requires you to take a multiple choice test as a part of the job. And maybe have you do that before you get the job, but that skill of taking a test is not the thing. So it's better for you to actually demonstrate the skill instead of your knowledge about the skill to prove that. So anyway, and there we go by, let's see here. So here's the summation of the final thing here. I think I'm kind of in the way here, but it says open credentials promise and promote an ecosystem of skills and knowledge founded on the bedrock principles of the free market, trust, reputation, and mutually beneficial exchange. Why do you care? Well, you care about all of this because this is one of the big goals here. And I really want that to be on people's minds, that the goal here is that you'll have your proof will be what you know and what you have to prove that. But hopefully the open credential will help you, because then you can say, look, this is the credential I have. I'm like, well, what's this credential? I've never heard of this thing before. I say, well, here it is. Here's a copy. It's like, ask me anything about on there. And like, what are you talking about? This is, proof is in the pudding. It's like, what's on here that you can prove? All right, enough talk about that. But that's a lot. People hit me all the time with, what am I going to get? They hit me with it all the time. And I'm like, again, the goals, you're going to get empowerment and ownership of your own learning, which is very powerful by itself. You're going to get mastery of coding and Linux skills, and you're going to get proof of that, which means either your skills, which is the main thing, or a credential that someone else has approved. Like somebody from the community has said, no, I went through their stuff and they got it. They definitely are worthy of this title. And so there we go. Course logistics. So let's just do a little logistics. I don't have a lot of this fleshed out yet. Let's see here. The knowledge should be enough. I believe it should be, but in our world, you still need to prove a lot. So we're flipped. So the first thing you need to know about logistics is that we're flipped. That means the times that we come together in session every day are for discussion and answering questions, and for me to share things. Today it's the first day, so I'm actually doing more talking than I normally would. Most of the time I'm going to be responding to specific questions that you have in the chat, and we're going to be solving problems together topically based on the day's topic. The expectation is that for some 5 hours outside of this time, either way in advance or the day before, you will have done the stuff to be ready to talk about it. Flipped classrooms are very challenging because they put all of the responsibility for the learning and asking questions on you, so that you understand. So Discord for communication. Just so you know, we're going to be using Discord for all of that. You can ask any question. You don't need to be afraid to ask questions in there at all. I don't think you should be afraid to ask questions in general, but we're going to gently nudge you, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit, if you ask a question that's already answered, and that's for your benefit. It's not to make fun of you. So Twitch for exposition and instructions. So that's what this is. Anytime I have to show you something or I have to demonstrate how something is done, that's what this day is about. And then we're going to use YouTube for supplemental videos. So I will hopefully be making supplemental videos like the one on open credentialing, or there's already one, for example, it's called I Suck, I Rock, and it's about something called imposter syndrome and Dunning-Kruger. So those videos will be on YouTube. They'll be more stable, and they're designed to be straight up content. They're not so much, hey, these live sessions that we're doing. The live sessions will also be posted to YouTube as an archive as well. So just so you know, and then RBX is for all of the written material, which is changing constantly. I don't have it set up yet, but eventually you'll be able to see an age. Every single page in RWGG will have an age thing down at the bottom, which will show the last time it was changed. So you'll be able to go to any one of those pages and ask yourself, how recently was this changed? Any page. So this is something called a knowledge base, a knowledge app. It's a part of the README World Exchange project, which I'm working on the side. If you want to know more about that, or you want to help me on that, the idea of publishing knowledge apps and knowledge bases composed of sub knowledge modules. Please stay tuned. Particularly on Saturday and Sunday nights, I do a lot of coding on that project. If you want, all of these projects, by the way, provide opportunity for people who want to supplement their resumes with contributions to an open source project. So there are lots and lots of opportunities on the stream outside of this course to do coding, including in the Discord. I just posted an entire room for people who want work done or who need work done. And so I've already been approached by a couple of people who are looking for someone who can give them a good deal on doing project work for them for coding. So that there you go. Maybe more and more as this community grows, maybe there'll be more and more postings from people who want a few people to team up and help them complete a project. Of course, I have nothing to do with that business wise, so just so you know, but that's there, and that all of that communication is happening on Discord. God, I think we're up to about 400 members now in Discord. It's just blowing up, which is great, and we've had a lot of people help out. I've dubbed a few mods without really asking them, just made a mod just in case so they can help out. So that's the logistics of how we're communicating and stuff. And one last piece about logistics. A lot of people have been streaming a lot of questions in the chat, and I appreciate that. I don't want anybody to feel like they can't say anything in these chat sessions. In fact, somebody said, "How should I know when I should ask a question?" Well, if you've done a basic Google search and you've looked at the screen, you can go ahead and ask your question. And that includes asking a question live. I, however, am not going to be able to read the chat, and I've been trying really hard today to not get sucked into reading the chat, because my number one, I suppose, rabbit hole sort of squirrel moment where I get pulled off topic is by looking at the chat. So let me just say that there are lots and lots of people in the chat who can help you, that you should not be afraid to ask anything in the chat that you want to, and you can go ahead and do that. And then I have moderators who will raise topics to me to be able to ask them, and we're toying with the idea of maybe even having a moderator invoiced in Discord who can break in and say, "Hey, I have a question here," so that they can interrupt me when we get into these more discussion segments, and we can address your specific needs without you feeling like you're getting left out in the cold. All right, so let's see here. Okay, so I need to get to the rules. These rules get a little harsh. There's one swear word in here. I'm just warning you right now. I'm actually going to read them. And this is, I don't want to read a lot of things verbatim, but I'm going to go ahead and read these. The community and course rules. Be nice, be understanding, be helpful, be patient. You aren't competing against anyone but yourself, so don't feel like you have to hoard your knowledge to do better than others. There's no bonus, and there's no freaking bell curve. You and we, a learning community bound together with one purpose, to learn and help each other learn. So forget your tricks to get an A, your cram sessions just to pass the test and forget immediately, your multiple guess test taking skills, your alternative agenda, and your scarcity mentality. Throw them all in the trash bin of history where they belong. Bring nothing but empathy, authenticity, and personal commitment, and you'll do just fine. Don't forget, there's no failing grade here, just progress at your own pace on your own terms. One thing you should know, however, and it gets a little harsh, is that we are going to give you a good-natured hard time for one specific thing, okay? Intellectual laziness. We might joke saying things like, I wonder if I can find the answer to your current question by looking harder at the current screen. And I've been asked what the current date time is or what we're doing. These are things you can answer for yourself, and we'll have some fun with you, but we love you. We're just teasing you. That's not a bad thing, okay? I had one person that I was teasing actually really go off on me. I had to ban him temporarily. I hope he's back. And we brought him back later. But just so you know, that doesn't mean that I'm bullying you. It just means I'm helping you push you past your comfort zone so you can answer your own questions. This is for your benefit. People in the industry will not be as nice. We're just nudging you in the right direction, getting you to answer your own questions. But, and this is completely tongue-in-cheek here, so please don't take it too seriously. If anyone seriously struggles with something about which they have done a lot of research and just cannot figure it out, and they actually have the courage to ask publicly for help, and you actually have the gall to make them feel small or stupid so you can stroke your own ego, well, you won't just get banned. We will find you, and we will take turns personally kicking your ass. So just don't do it. Obviously, we're not going to find you and kick your ass. But I really want to just take home the point that this single worst behavior that you can have, the single worst behavior you can have in this community is making someone feel small so that you feel big. And if we find it and you just doubling down on it, that's an insta-ban and you won't come back. Hopefully you'll learn a lesson. And I don't want to get too critical of other communities and streams out there, but there are other places that will make you feel small for using anything but Arch, or they'll make you feel, you know what I'm saying? This is not what we're about here. Okay. Now, if you ask a question that's on the screen, we're going to give you a hard time. I said, let me Google that for you, or let me redirect your attention to the upper left corner of the stream. We'll have fun with you. But we're not beating you up. We're not making you feel small. We're not calling you stupid. All right. And if you see me off the official stream, I joke and stuff, and it's never really serious. But that, of course, obviously I'm not going to chase you down, but we might. You never know. So just be careful. So ego is a strange beast. It really is. All right. So let's go back. How are we doing on time? We're doing pretty good. Okay. So the rules, peak at learning to learn. So when it says peak, learning to learn is its own thing. I don't want to really get into the weeds on this. We only have a half an hour before the next break. But I think we're doing pretty good on time. Okay. So learning to learn. So here we go. Learning to work and learn. So I already read this, live in the question. So learning is fundamental. Whatever your views are on life, it's likely that learning, the process of gaining skills and knowledge and experience, is a fundamental part of it. And I talked about this already today, so I'm going to skip it. You can go ahead and read it. I do have some other things here. So if you want to prepare in advance, I don't know when the next one starts, but there is a Quora course which is free called Learning to Learn. I haven't taken it, but I hear it's pretty good. There's another Mindshare course here that you can take. These are all linked from the site. I'm not going to go further into them. Other than to say that learning to learn is a big thing. You need to learn it, and I overly emphasize on that because I think it's one of the main, as I've said over and over again today already, if you don't learn this, nothing else matters. Yeah, you can watch the content at any time. Okay, so understanding web browsers. Okay, so we're gonna divert a little bit, and we're gonna talk about something that's largely controversial in the tech space. And all I'm really gonna do for about 10 or 15 minutes is I'm gonna justify my decision to pick the web browsers that I have. And those are the only web browsers that I'm going to be discussing and using on stream. If you want to use another web browser for your own reasons, that's completely up to you. Again, you are in charge. You are the boss. This is just suggestions or recommendations. But I will tell you straight up that the industry standard for web browser and web development is Chromium. And you can have opinions about what that means. It doesn't matter. And I do want to talk about that. This is not an endorsement of Google. I have no Google products in my life. Let me just say that again. I do not have a single Google product in my life that I use. The closest thing to my association with Google is using YouTube, for which I don't even have a Gmail. I use my Protonmail email address, and Chromium, which is used by Google. Now, the Brave version of Chromium is Brave. By the way, here's Brave. This is the recommended browser. This is the one I use. The Brave browser itself is controversial. Some people have trouble with why it's being why they think it tracks them and stuff. I think it's the opposite of that. The Brave browser was created by Brendan Eich, who saw a need in the industry for a web browser that by default had all the privacy stuff turned off, and they have ripped out the stuff from Chromium. It's built on Chromium, but they have ripped out all the Google stuff and built their own version of a web browser that does that. And so this is a pretty big deal. And I really am behind Brave. They do show you advertising on the default pages. So that is the only place that they show you advertising at all. There's no other advertising. You have to enable privacy searches. If you turn on Brave Rewards, that's a completely different thing. They have a cryptocurrency that allows people to be paid for just having a website and being a participant. So I have toyed with the idea. I don't know if I'm ready to do it yet, but making my web app, on the Brave Rewards, so that when you visit it, I don't know who you are, but I would be rewarded for that. So we will talk about text browsers in a second. If people here know that I'm a big text browser fan. So here we go. So this is the web browser. Google has Chrome, which is, the most used web browser in the world right now. Even Microsoft Edge now uses Chrome. So the next version of Microsoft, actually their operating system should come out any time. I don't even know what it's called. I think it's Windows Next or something. But the web browser that's built into it now fundamentally depends on Chromium. And so that puts the only major web browser left out there is Firefox, and Firefox is a phenomenal browser too. I'm just going to state very plainly the reasons that I don't use it unless I have to. Number one, it doesn't have Chromium. It doesn't have service workers, so its DevTools is not. Last I checked, its DevTools is not nearly as good for doing service workers and performance profiling for web development. It's not an exaggeration to say that Chrome DevTools is the internet standard of the web industry by number of people who use it for web development. In fact, in a Stack Exchange survey, which you should take with a grain of salt, but in a Stack Exchange survey, Qt browser is great too. Yep. So you guys, I appreciate the chat suggesting other browsers for everybody to try. Again, this is you making your own decisions. And I'm telling you why I'm making mine. Okay, so Firefox is, Firefox does. Mozilla as an organization is not an organization I want to slam right now, other than to say that they are not what you think they are, and they pretty much lost my respect when they. Mr. Robot, which by the way, my stepson told me about Mr. Robot. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. It's very rated M. This is not a rated M YouTube channel right now, but if you watch Mr. Robot, be sure you're ready for some really, really hard sort of rated M violence and stuff. It's an amazing, amazing series. I really love it and recommend it. However, and again, I want to just make a shout out to my son Otto, stepson Otto, who told me about Mr. Robot and brought it to my attention. And you'll hear references to it before, but I have to explain that because Mr. Robot is because of the television show and the nature of hacking, the Mozilla organization for Firefox decided to hack everybody who had a Firefox web browser, and they put something on the system without authorizing it and made it a part of the Mr. Robot series in order to promote it. So they put promotional, commercial, Hollywood stuff, hacks on your machine without your permission so that you could participate. And they got beat to a pulp over it. And because they were always about, being open and being, respecting your privacy and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden they did that. So yeah, rabbit hole warning. I just want to tell you that's why I'm not going to do the Firefox thing. And I'm going to leave that. Okay. So back to Brave. Brave is the last one. Okay. So what are the major web browsers? So any Chromium-based web browser, that's my recommendation. Any Chromium-based web browser, and that includes Edge today. There is a version of Chromium that's got all of it taken out of it. But I like Brave and Chrome because there's more eyes on them. So that means if something goes wrong, they're more likely to fix it more quickly. The Chromium project itself doesn't get fixed as quickly as Chrome itself, because the people at Google are watching Chrome when something goes wrong, when they have a security vulnerability or something like that. All right. I welcome contrary opinions to that in the chat if you guys want to share those. All right, back to the topic. So let's go back to, see if I can find it here. Oops, where am I? I might have to go dig down and find my links again. I'll go, I'm accessing them on my local host because I'm gonna go ahead and make some changes here too. All right, so learning to learn, we talked about that. Understanding web browsers. There is one other web browser. I'm going to do a skills tree, possibly do a skills tree. I want to do a skills tree. But we're not in a position to do a skills tree yet. So you guys will see me doing a lot of, I'm going to turn my opacity down for a bit here, so we can see what's going on. And so, and I can tell you what I'm running. By the way, just make a quick little plug. I did this last night. If you want to know what I am running, how I am doing all of this, it's not really well fleshed out right now, but I went ahead and have added rwxrob.live. You can go here to catch the stream. It also has my schedule on it. And so here's the schedule. And it has an FAQ. And the FAQ includes what's my setup currently. It's kind of out of date, but I just barely started this last night because I figured people would want to see it. Plus, we had some coffee talk notes from May 3rd, and so I put notes up there. So this is rwxrob.live. This is the website, the web app for my stream, not necessarily for the beginner boost. That would be rwx.gg. So here we go. And so web browsers. So the one other web browser that I want to tell you about that we will be learning about, but we're not going to learn about today, is something called Links. And by using this, you can go to a site, rwx.gg, and you can browse a site using text. And I am a strong proponent of text-based browsing simply for the speed involved. And people differ in opinion on this. I know of at least 2 people in this room right now who still think that they are faster with their graphic web browser with hotkeys than me from Links with my terminal. And that's fine. We're going to talk about that, and we'll go through that fully when we talk about that during the. In fact, where is it? Let me see if I can find it again from here. So there is a section where we're going to do. Here it is. Becoming a terminal master. When we do becoming a terminal master, we're going to go through Links. I don't have stuff there yet, but we're going to talk about Links, this browser that I'm using, about how fast to find stuff and how ridiculously fast it is at finding answers. So, for example, let's search for Mr. Robot Firefox scandal. Let's go search for that really quick. Ready, go. So here we go. Firefox focus privacy scandal, GX6 news. Let's read it. There it is. How many seconds? How many seconds did it take me to get a full answer from a full article about the scandal? Yeah, sorry, I was quicker. Yeah. So Firefox, this Links is also just text-based. So W3M, people talk about that a lot. We'll talk about that and we'll see. Mouse beat me with his Firefox. What are you using, Mouse? Pound. All right. So, Safari. Oh God. I didn't even mention Safari. I'm sorry. Using Vimium. So again, you guys are the boss of you. So you decide what you want to use. I'm going to make the case for what I believe is fastest and the best. The reason I do this is because it's all text. People don't like text. I don't like W3M, by the way, because W3M tries to be sort of a graphic browser too, and so my eyes cannot glaze over the words. The whole advantage of doing a text-based browser is so that your eyes can glaze over the words and you can just scan. But if you get interrupted by things trying to render pictures and stuff like that I don't need. I don't want the pictures. Rarely do I ever need a picture on the internet. And when I do need a picture on the internet, then I'll go to the graphic browser and pull up the picture like this. Here, let's go pull up this privacy scandal. There we go. So you'll see me doing a lot of initial searching with Links. We're not going to cover that today, but we did talk about web browsers since people were talking about it. Safari, I'm a staunch anti-Safari guy. I think Safari is a disaster of a web browser. And I believe that is mostly because of its internals. It doesn't even implement common standards such as progressive web apps. It's still lagging its feet on full support for progressive web apps and stuff. So I'm still focused. We're still talking about web browsers, people. And anyway, so Firefox focus. So I just wanted you to see that how fast I was able to search for this stuff. All right. So next we have setting up ProtonMail. I think we can get through ProtonMail and Discord. Brave, installing Brave and Chromium. We talked about that. I should probably move that one up. If you have not got Brave or Chromium installed, go ahead and do it if you want to. So this is an opportunity for you to do that. It's an opportunity for you to debate why or why not to do that. But as we go forward, you're going to be looking at DevTools a lot. And every time I show you DevTools, it's going to be DevTools from a Chromium web-based web browser. And if you don't know what that looks like and you can't translate it, that could be a burden for you. But if you can, fine. Run your Safari with its absolutely brain-dead, crappy DevTools and have a good time. Anyway, so set up ProtonMail. Why ProtonMail? So, again, this is another choice that you can decide on whether you want to do ProtonMail or not. Oops, I don't have my ProtonMail done. So we're gonna take a break here. We have 10 minutes left, and I'm going to talk about ProtonMail. And during the break, I suggest everybody get a ProtonMail and get a Discord. In fact, I'm going to jump ahead and do Discord first. If you have not downloaded and installed Discord and don't know what we're talking about, do that during the break. Okay, do that during the break and have people here help you get your Discord set up if you haven't already done that. You cannot participate in this course without Discord. So you have to have it if you want to be here, if you really want to participate fully. So if that, by the way, that means getting the application, not just going through the web browser. Okay. So we've had people try to go through the web browser and they cannot participate in some of the voice and screen streaming. And may I just make a case that if you do Discord, the app, despite what you might think of Discord, but the Discord app allows you to screen share. And so you can screen share and you can provide, it's so essential to be able to show your screen. If you go through any Reddit forum or any forum like that, help forum, they're always saying, can you send us what you see? Almost always it's people ask a question, it's not working. And they're like, well, we don't know what it's not working. You got to show us. So please take a moment to install the Discord app because people can see your screen temporarily and they can help you, and they can't help you if they can't see your screen. So it doesn't work, Mr. Rob, or what? I mean, I get that all the time. Well, show me what's not working. Well, you're missing this and this. So this is just out of respect for the people who you're going to be asking to help you. Their time will go much more quickly. And they'll get to the bottom of the problems much faster if they can see your screen and talk you through it. So please take a moment to get the real Discord installed. If you're asking why not Slack or any of those other things, there's really no reason. We just wanted to pick one, and Discord is by far I think the most superior in that front, even though it crashes every hour regularly with core dumps because it's a really horrible Electron app. But I'm not going to rant about that. So let's go back to the Protonmail. So during the break, which is in like 10 minutes or so, which will be for 15 minutes, think about trying out Brave, try out Chromium, think about trying those out, think about trying Protonmail and seeing if you maybe want to use it. Now, in some countries, you can't use it. So like if you're in Russia, you can't use Protonmail at all. Protonmail is completely banned. And there are some people here who can help you figure out how to use Protonmail. Something I should mention on Discord in terms of integration and alternatives, it's against Discord's terms of service to use anything but Discord. So if you use an alternative to Discord, and they find out, you'll lose your Discord account. So just be really careful. They're really picky about that. And so let's go back to Protonmail. What about Two-to-Noah? Two-to-Noah is a great alternative. I actually started out on Two-to-Noah. But here's the problem with Two-to-Noah. It does not have as wide of adoption. It is more frequently blacklisted because it tends to be used by hackers even more than Protonmail. And it wasn't made by physicists and technology like super people in CERN. I mean, it's a good product. It's also run out of Germany versus Switzerland. Protonmail is fast becoming the #1 alternative to Google. And so I would go give that a shot and look at it and try it. You can do it for free. It has a VPN for free. However, eventually I suggest you pay your $5 a month to get the custom things. Did you watch the TED Talk on Andy Yen? It's amazing. Yeah, anybody who has not watched the TED Talk from Andy Yen on Protonmail should really take a moment. This guy really understands, and he's sincerely concerned about the state of privacy in the world, and so I strongly recommend it. Why am I talking about it right now in our boost on the first day? Because we're going to be setting up a lot of accounts over the next 2-3 days, and if you set up those accounts with Gmail, you're setting yourself up for some potential problems. I've had multiple people have their Gmail accounts hacked. And in one case, I had somebody lose their Gmail account, and they had tied their domain name to their Gmail account for recovery, so they lost their domain name. This was a newbie, but he used Gmail, and he forgot his thing, and he lost his Gmail account, and so then he couldn't use his domain name. He lost his domain name, and so he just has to wait for it to expire. So as we go about. No 2FA. We're going to talk about how dangerous 2FA actually is. I was hacked because of 2FA. Yeah, and I'll talk about that someday when we talk about security. By the way, personal security I think is scheduled for. I think personal security is day 3 or 4 of today. We're going to talk about personal security and privacy. And we're going to spend a big part of a day talking about that stuff. Okay. So anyway. There's some problems with two-factor authentication if it involves an email, a phone number, and we'll talk about that. So darknet user accounts after they discovered they used it to sell illegal stuff. There have been Protonmail has been used by people, and it does get blacklisted. So, for example, you cannot sign up for a Netlify account with a Protonmail account currently. You have to use GitLab or GitHub, and that's fine because you should do that anyway. It's just easier. But because Protonmail is so tight about its privacy, and you can watch the NDN video to understand why. You can maybe get a handle on that. But that's why, because it's really, really well done, and so it attracts all kinds of people, not the least of which are people who want to protect their privacy for nefarious reasons and not legitimate reasons like us. By the way, we're going to talk about this on the Privacy Day, but respecting your privacy has nothing to do with what kind of person you are. And I'm just so tired of this, played out argument that if you have nothing to hide, that you don't need to be concerned about your privacy. That's absolute bullcrap. We should all be concerned with our privacy. I was a Russian major and studying Russian history. If there's no better, series of stories and events to justify how important our privacy is, because we're going to talk about privacy on its own day. I don't want to rant too much about it, but at least give Protonmail a strong consideration. You can very easily forward your Gmail to your Protonmail, and then you don't lose anything. And that's how mine's set up right now. I have all my stuff going to both. Okay, but we're going to talk more about privacy issues on another day. So I have 2 minutes left, and we've covered all the things for this segment. This last part of this segment is a new thing I changed this morning, and we're going to spend the entire 40 minutes playing around coding in languages in the coding sandbox on Replit. And Amjad, if you're out there, if you ever get a chance to see this, how's it going, my dude? We love you, and we're looking forward to coming and playing around in Replit for a while. And I'm going to, so you can see what's coming for the rest of the day. So this next break, which I'm going to go ahead and start right now, I would make the goal for you guys to debate and talk about, Protonmail, help each other get set up with Discord, decide on a web browser that you want to use. That I strongly recommend you should at least have a Chromium-based web browser at your disposal. And then if you want to continue to peek at learning to learn and our course logistics and rules, go ahead. But that's all I have for this segment. Just reading back through the chat a little bit. Let's see. Uh-oh. I could have swore somebody was here again. This boater, so you can look in, yeah. All right. So, again, when I come back, we're going to start playing around with Replit. If somebody wants to get ahead, get used to stuff in advance, you can go to repl.it, create an account. Again, I strongly suggest you take this moment to create a Protonmail account first, and then create all these additional accounts that have to do with your privacy and your security, particularly your domain name, which we're going to get later, with your secure Protonmail email. And if you want to really be secure on Protonmail, by the way, last little thing I'll say, don't set up any backup stuff. Don't have a backup email. It's super dangerous to do that. Password manager is important. We're going to talk about password managers another day. On the Privacy and Security Day, we're going to talk about password managers and why I recommend KeePassXC. So that is coming, and how to set it up. It's not for the faint of heart, so yeah. If you can't use IMAP as the thing, yeah. Protonmail also, by the way, lets you use IMAP and SMTP. So you guys can. This is a more advanced usage, but eventually you can start using Protonmail to run your own pseudo email server. In fact, I use it to write shell scripts that send email securely because it sets up what's called an SMTP server gateway called Protonmail Bridge. It's one of the most amazing technological feats of anything. You don't get that with 2.0, I guarantee you. So when you do that, you can run, if you're a beginner, please don't glaze over here, but it allows you to run a program on your computer to which you can send email, and then that email is encrypted, and it uses a standard way of doing that so that you can use any email browser. That means that I use Mutt, which is a terminal-based email client. You can use Thunderbird on Firefox. You can use your any map, any like Outlook or whatever they're using now on Microsoft. ProtonMail is free. If you pay the $5 a month, you get a domain name, which is, by the way, the cheapest way to get a personal customized email. Google, last time I checked, was $36 a month for a customized email address. So ProtonMail is $5 a month, and if you pay, $3, $4, $5 a year for a domain name, you can get your own customized email, and that's how I do my email. And I'll talk you through how to set up your own customized email at some point. I don't have it directly on the calendar here because I don't consider that necessarily a beginner thing. Yeah, Namecheap, by the way, guys, we're going to talk about Namecheap. We're not talking about it right now, but during the web development time is when we're going to come back to that. So, guys, just so you know, when we talk about web development, the right here, when we get into the web development and networking and the internet 8 and 9, we're going to be doing a lot more stuff with domains, and we're going to go get your domain. I'm not saying go get a domain right now. Okay. Yeah, you've been happy. Nice. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and take the break so I don't forget. Oops. So talk amongst yourself, get some stuff done that you want to get done. AFK until 1:10. And when we come back, we will be doing Replit. So you can go ahead and sign up for repl.it right now. If you do so, a good chance to do that with your... What's my objection to Tutanoa? Tutanoa does not have the scale and scope that ProtonMail has. That's the short answer. It also has been blacklisted far, far more than ProtonMail. And it's not approaching the topic. I mean, its web interface, I believe, is better. It has a bridge. It has, there's no Tutanoa SMTP bridge. I just think it's all around. I just think it's a better product. I think the people that are involved on the mouse, I think the people that are involved if you read the bios of the people who are on the ProtonMail project compared to the people that are on the Tutanoa project, they're both really brilliant, awesome people. And I had a Tutanoa account for a good 3 months before someone showed me about, it was made by CERN. And I mean, I don't see Tutanoa giving TED Talks. I do see that from ProtonMail about privacy. So that's my main concern. Some people have said that the fact that Tutanoa is based in Germany is reason enough for them to not use it. I don't want to get into that. It's a political statement. The fact that the ProtonMail is governed by Switzerland is a big deal. Okay. So let me get my fishies here. I have to have the fishies. All right. I'll see you soon. I like putting my guy back, though. It just makes me... I like having my substitute fill in, though. He's so much fun. I need to give him a name. I gotta give my anonymous Teddy a name. Yeah, good old IKEA. IKEA. Mr. Roy, he's actually got a Guy Fawkes mask on. Foxy. Well, right now he's Foxy. Right now I like that name. That's a great name. We might have to keep him Foxy. I like that. I'll get another bear for the other ones. The yet to be disclosed. I have a number of other stage props, shall we say. I don't pull those out during the stream though usually, but they're fun. I mean, the association with hacker culture is a fun thing because thinking like a hacker is very educational. You know what? Hackers are natural autodidacts. The non-script kiddies anyway. They're natural autodidacts. Why? Because they have to figure stuff out. They have to figure stuff out on their own. No one's going to tell them how to figure it out. The whole point of hacking is figuring stuff out. So they have to research. They have to read white papers. In fact, Darlene from Mr. Robot says, given sufficient time and white papers, I can hack anything. And autodidact, self-learner. She's like figuring stuff out. You know what I mean? So we come back to the hacker mentality a lot because I think it really inspires people to figure things out and rip things apart, see how they work. And that's one of the biggest way to, the marketing hacker of well. Okay. So, this last 40 minutes I thought would be, originally on the schedule, yesterday, we were going to do some typing competition, and I kind of want to minimize that. I do think typing is important. I don't think it's important enough to spend 40 minutes on it. But I tell you what is, learning how to mess around with stuff, this whole hacker mentality, right? So why don't we go write hello world in as many languages as we can? Should we have a little fun sort of friendly competition to see how many people can write hello world in the most languages on Replit? So we talked about operating systems a little bit, but there is another operating system. I mean, there's a web-based now. So let me regroup here. I don't have anything written on Replit. I need to. If you want the full story on Replit, you can actually search for something I wrote about it, which is somewhat critical. In fact, it's really critical. I want you to, if you really care to know what Replit is and the good and the bad and the ugly, then you can go read about it. So if you search for Rabma and you search for a problem with Replit, you'll see my rant. And Amjad, the creator of Replit, let me just give you a story here. The creator of Replit, actually, this is way too harsh now. I feel kind of bad that it's so harsh. But so my biggest complaint, and I want to disclose this up front. I believe Replit has a serious flaw. It's a fantastic sandbox tool, and as long as you approach it as a sandbox tool, you're fine. As soon as you start to do anything else with it, and you start to use it for production, development, or which some people do, or you build an entire educational curriculum around Replit, you will fail. And if you want to read the ugly details of why I've come to this conclusion, it was because I had to redo my curriculum in a private school within the first month because people could not use Replit because the web was not available to them. And so I have become a staunch advocate for developing solutions that do not depend on an internet connection. And frankly, development in general, writing code, the industry depends on you being able to write code, whether or not you have internet. So you're going on a plane, you're writing code. You land, you commit your code. This is the common workflow for professional developers, and I believe as an educator that you have sort of a responsibility to model the practices that people are going to be using in the industry above everything else, even above the convenience of the way that you are forced with teaching. Amjad, who created Replit, primarily was motivated to create Replit for one reason. he told me this. He said 50 to 60% of all schools use Chromebooks. They depend entirely on the internet for all of their material, and which is sort of sad because they also don't have good internet, not in the U.S. anyway. So I don't want this to go back down into a rant. That this is a full disclosure that the fun time we're going to have with Replit today is to just get writing some code. It's to introduce you to a really friendly, fun sandbox. It's to give you an opportunity to see other people's code. So you can, one of the best ways of learning is to read other people's code. Everybody recommends this. We're going to do GitHub and GitLab tomorrow, which is, of course, the best place to go read code because those are production projects. But Replit has a lot of good code too. So you can go out here and share it. But just know that this is not the end game. Right, we're not gonna. There's college courses that use Replit and nothing else. That's it, and I would never do that. I think that's a disservice to the people who are using it. Because what happens when they get out of college, out of that class? How are you going to code? You're not going to go into a job interview and show your Replit repos. All right, but if you want something fun, and this little rant is not over time because the rest of the entire time is just us playing around on Replit. Okay, together, so you can play with that. So, okay, let's go here. So let's go get Replit. I don't remember my account. I might even have to log in. So start coding. I think I have dark mode on. By the way, if you get Dark Reader, make sure you get the actual Dark Reader. There is a hacked version of it if you decide you want to do that. That's really the only plugin that I have. That I recommend, and we passed the web browser conversation. So, all right. So, I think they actually made dark mode their new default, if I remember. Yep. So you can go ahead and sign up. You don't have to sign up if you don't want to. At one point, I was kind of off top. I was doing stuff here. Signed up coding Python. So, and Python is one of the first languages. Python is, I'm not going to rant about Python right now. Python is a great beginner language, but it's not as great as you think. and the reason for that is there's two reasons for that. So we got to be careful right now because it's really going to be really easy to devolve into a fight about what languages are best. Okay. So I'm going to take a moment to tell you the languages we're going to learn, and then you can play with any language here. In fact, I encourage you to try them all out. But the first language we're going to learn is Bash. And we're not going to learn it fully. We're going to learn it enough to do basic things with it. So Bash, Haskell is pretty cool. So here's Bash. We're going to play around. So I'm going to do the languages that we're going to use during the course in order. And then, we'll talk about them as we go. So Bash, why is Bash important language? Bash is an important language because, wait, is this going to be dark moded or not? Let me try. You know what? I probably should, I'm going to try to, I should probably go ahead and, actually, I think I'm already signed up. Let me try my GitHub login. I used to have a bunch of stuff over here, but I don't anymore. I'm going to go ahead and use my GitHub login. But you guys can, normally you would have to sign up for GitHub first. If you want to jump ahead to tomorrow and go ahead and sign up for GitHub and GitLab, you can do that in advance if you want. Don't really need mine. Oh, right. So authorize Replit online. They do have, I can't remember where it is. It's been a while since I've been out here. Can I just say how cool this is though? I just really want to give these guys, I actually considered working with them at one point because it was so stinking cool. Because it's a full environment. And in fact, it's a persistent environment. If you know what that means that it's running any time. So you can actually write web servers over here and have them run and do things. We're going to do that in a second. So let me just go ahead and change my settings here. Let's just see if we can find something here. My templates tutorials, they have tutorials. And it's been a while since I've been out here. It's kind of fun to come back and visit. I want dark mode. How do I get dark mode? How do I get dark mode, people? Again, we're just playing around for the next 40 minutes or so. We're going to end at 2. And I'm just trying to find my settings here. Right, here we go. Settings. It's been a while. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. Dark mode. Yes, there's dark mode. They used to have it so you could pick any mode you wanted to, and now you can't. Yep. Have Holy See. It has C, but not Holy See. Their jobs page is unique and cool. Yeah. This is a company that I would recommend people consider working for. And so if you have an interest in education and development, there's some remarkable stuff out here. If you want to actually go look around. It still says I'm anonymous though, but I'm not anonymous anymore. How come it says I'm anonymous? Oh, there we go. Robma. It made me Robma again. I don't want to be Robma. I want to be RWX Rob. Can I change it? How can I change it? Let me see if I can change it. I haven't played with this in a long time. But anyway, let's do the languages and I'll come back and mess with that stuff later. It is a little bit, reminiscent of VS Code. And particularly if you're helping beginners, it's a great way. You just have Dark Reader on. Interesting. Yeah. So it does have adding folders and stuff. This is new. This was not there before. That was kind of a problem before, as you couldn't put stuff there. So you can do hello world. You can do, any kind of thing here. I wonder if they still have it. They had VI mode in the settings at one point. They had Vim bindings. I kid you not. They had Vim bindings. Take off. See. Okay, so let's see here. So here we have dark mode, font size normal, indentation type spaces, 2 indentation type, key bindings. There it is. Emacs or Vim. You can use Emacs or Vim. You can use wrapping, soft wrap. Yeah. Code intelligence. Oh, God, no. Disable code intelligence. I hate code intelligence. That's IntelliSync. I do not like that. We'll talk about that later. But that's when it pops up all the help for you. A lot of beginners like it. I hate it. 200 viewers? What? Oh my gosh. So that's not a fun thing. So here we go. So we're just having some fun here. No tab completion. No, I'm not. It has tab completion if you want it. I just don't like it. I never liked it. But if you like it, use it, okay? Until you don't. And I promise you, if you use it long enough, eventually you'll stop liking it. He just called 90% of live coders beginners. For using tab completion? I'm sorry. I hate it. You know why I hate it? Okay, so let me justify it. Let me justify my opinion on this very quickly without ranting. I can find... Okay, so let me just justify that opinion. So I don't know when we're gonna talk about IntelliSense again. So I'm gonna talk about it right now really quickly. When people like to push tab or like things to pop up, IntelliSense is when you're typing and you get all of these all of these suggestions, these things that pop up and it's like, type this now, and I can't. For an ADD guy like me or ADHD or whatever, it distracts me. It keeps me from the focus. And while I'm intrigued by the idea of pushing tab and having it just type the right thing, which I have used in VS Code, particularly for HTML development, that's very, very useful. But the IntelliSense thing, when it pulls up, I just don't like it. And the reason for that is because I can usually look up the syntax myself, and usually I don't want just a hint. I want to see the examples and I want to see the other things. So I've gotten better at searching from the text command line and doing my searches when I need to look up syntax. So you'll see me with a terminal open that has me doing the code and another terminal open with my current search terms. And so I'm constantly looking stuff up in the book. It's my version of IntelliSense. I just happen to be doing it. And I also happen to be putting out the criteria for it. And it's returning results that are not just one limited version of it that's in the IntelliSense prompt. It could be potentially a man page. It could be a Stack Exchange. It could be an article. I have more freedom to go look at the material more quickly. And for me, that is much, much more valuable than this sort of pseudo help that just kind of teases you with the real answer. It doesn't give you the examples. It doesn't really help you. It's just kind of a teaser. And sometimes people say that that's all they need and they can just do it. And if that's you, that's fine. But for me, when I need to look something up, I need to look it up. I don't want to look I don't want to just get a little thing. So that's my rant about IntelliSense. This is why I don't like it. If IntelliSense is your spell checker and you're just typing that kind of thing, I'm with you on that. And that's probably the area where IntelliSense makes more sense. All right. Good old man yells at stuff serious. I mean, I'm not, you guys, I'm not angry at other people for doing it this other way. I just, for me, searching things out. So first language is Bash. Okay. So, I feel like actually it looks better in Brave. All right. So here we go. We've got main.sh, and you got echo hello world. There's your hello world. Oh, the only problem is, look at that. See, I tried to use Vim bindings there. You see that? The reason for this is because as a part of my editing, I regularly save. But if you try to save, if you try to do save stuff, it doesn't. I will tell you this. I am super pleased that they supported. Oh, nope, they didn't. Nope, they didn't support it. I think you have to type escape. If so, oh, yep. Yeah, it's not true VI. It's not true VI. It's like it tries to be VI, but if you use, escape and other things, it's not doing it. It's kind of like VI. It is Vim mode. Yeah, but like, so for example, see this down here? It says normal mode. Watch. Oh, good. That was good. That was good. Never mind. I was checking whether it uses Control F bracket in VI mode, which you don't know about yet, but you'll. It's not a horrible VI emulator. I've seen worse ones, but So you can do hello world. Let's do it in quotes. Should we do lots of them? Should we see if it supports color? You guys want to see if it supports color? So let's make it do a whole loop. Should we make it infinite loop and see if it kills the computer? Hey, let's kill the computer. I wonder how it handles the shebang line. Let's see if it handles the shebang line well. Bin bash. Is that going to make it choke? Is it going to choke? How do I run it? Oh, I forgot about this. So shift enter. Wait, is it control enter? Oh, it is. So control enter. No, we're not rabbit holing mouse. We're on topic. The last 40 minutes is playing around with Replit in different languages that we're going to be doing over the course. So I wonder how you should. So control return is how you can run your code. So if you get used to doing that, you can like blah, blah, echo. Well, let's do it while true loop, while true, do done. All right. So oh wow, the save worked just fine, and then control enter. Ooh, I didn't even have to leave. They've improved it a lot. Good job, Amjad and the team over there. Good job, you guys. By the way, I think it was like 2 years ago that they got their funding. If you want to read a really interesting Silicon Valley story, go read the story of Replit. It is really great. The way that they got into Y Combinator is a really interesting story. If you want to kind of get a handle on technology and technology companies and what Silicon Valley is all about and how it operates. So Replit was kind of an outlier in terms of like having how they got into Y Combinator. And the story, Amjad's story himself is really, really fascinating. So this is a guy who's completely self-made, who came from, I want to say Iraq, I believe. And he came here, he started working, he was contributing, he was working on Code Academy for a while, by the way. He was working on the Code Academy project for a long time. In fact, he was the one who made the Python emulation engine that runs off the Code Academy system. And which was one of the best of all when it first came out. It was quite groundbreaking. And then he moved on. It was funny because I've just kind of followed him indirectly without knowing it, because I remember watching Code Academy kind of become stale, and because they didn't upgrade their Python stuff. And I was always wondering why not. Well, he had moved on. He had participated in a bunch of Facebook projects, got picked up and started working for Facebook for a while. Got onto the Babel project, and eventually, he was coding on open source while he was at Facebook. And then I hope Amjad corrects me if I'm wrong. And then he was continuing to code on the React project. And so he got picked up on the React project because of his open source contributions while he was at Facebook, even though both of the projects were under Facebook. So then he, as I understand it, I've read a lot about him. He went and do his React thing, and then he had an opportunity to do what he'd always dreamed of doing, which was to make a system that had zero startup. In other words, anybody could just get on here and code. And that was always something he wanted as a kid. It talks about him hacking his school computer when he was a kid too. And so, and then he just did this, and it was a passion project, and he put everything into it. And that was about the time that I ran into these guys. And I was just really fascinated because they were running on containers. They had a true Unix system behind everything, not some emulated thing. And because they've built it on this container architecture, they're able to have 60 to 80 languages now. So it's a really good story in addition to product. And I really like it. I think it's a phenomenal thing. I just think it has a serious problem as a final educational solution, because it does lead people to depend on the internet. I mean, particularly, you guys saw how fast I'm typing, right? If you have the average school's internet, see what I'm doing here? Every one of these keystrokes has to be sent. At least it used to. I think it looks like they may have changed it. But back when I was doing it, each one of those keystrokes had to be communicated with the server in real time over a WebSocket. It's pretty cool technology. And then I saw some problem. Yeah, what's that? I made it infinite with while basically that code will continue to run hello until somebody stops, runs out of RAM. Yeah, I know. I was just having fun with this. Actually, if you want to be nicer, you can sleep it. So we're gonna sleep at 1 second, right? Actually, I used to do this with 9cat, so I'd put 9cat here. Here we got enough time to try some other languages. So 9, let's do that. Echo -n, that says don't do a new line. And then is that the last right? Yeah. So then I'm gonna run this. Cannot fork error. Oh boy. Did you try to fork it? It didn't make it, didn't work. So now we have a 1 second 9cat. We can actually make it in color. If you want to know how to do color, I can teach you that. Let's see. I don't know if I want to show you that right now, but until the cat loses his voice, I can put like 0.5 seconds. Let's do that. Let's try that. Run that one. 9999999. All right. So next language. So this is the first language. This is the fork bomb prevented the fork bomb. That's nice. They've tried to prevent a lot of things. There's been people. I've always said that some hacker's going to get a hold of this at some point, because it's a pretty good tool if you want to hack remotely. But it's against the terms of service, by the way, I should say. Let's do so many instances going once, probably true. All right, so let's try a new language. So I'm going to make a new REPL here. Let's do the next language we're going to learn. So the next language we're going to learn is web. And I call it web. It's actually 3 languages. Well, to be fair, do they have it? Oh my god, that would be so cool if they had it. Man, they added so many. They got Elixir now. It's been about 2 years since I've looked at this. Tkinter, that's so cool. Oh wow, and they have like project templates. Man, they've done a lot here. Ever since they got that funding, they really just took off. This is really great. So all these languages here, this is hands down the best place to explore languages without installing them. I still think it's fun to install a language and try it out, but if you just want to get the syntax down, I was going to say JSON and Markdown, but I don't think they have Markdown, because technically those are the next languages we're going to learn is JSON, YAML, and Markdown. But those are structured data languages, and they're knowledge language, writing languages. They're declarative languages. They're not imperative, which is another thing we'll get into. So the next like programming language, like traditional, what people would think would be web stuff. And we're gonna do a little of this tomorrow. We're gonna make our hopefully either tomorrow or the next day. We're gonna make our own. I kind of want to show you a lolcat first, but I'm not going to wait and get through all the stuff, and then we'll come back and play with this. The BrainF and there's a couple languages here that are in the esoteric language category, which are just absolutely silly, fun languages. And we'll talk about those. I'm fighting the temptation to talk about them now because they're so fun. But so there's Bash. We just did that one. And then there's Love2D. What the heck? SQLite. How do you seriously can code in SQLite now? My goodness, that's cool. I'm gonna have to put some SQL back on the table. Where's the web stuff? Here we go. HTML, CSS, and JavaScripts. Yeah, they have brain app is cool. So we're going to go ahead and do create a REPL here. Some of my names actually got into there. I was one of the contributors to the name set. Anyway, so this is spectacularly awesome for teaching web development. And yeah, and no, it's, yeah. So just see a little hint on web. So the web is actually made up of 3 languages: HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. CSS is the style, HTML is the content and structure, and JavaScript is the logic. That's a really whirlwind explanation of this, but you can come here and you can see here's a website. But this is what's so cool about this. Watch this. So particularly their web hosting, I think they have the best web development hosting test system by far, because you can actually have stuff that's hosted and you can send people to. Now, we are not going to use this, okay? We're going to use GitLab and eventually VI and Node and Preview, and we're going to use real tools for web development. But I don't want to get anybody to get, no, JavaScript did not come from Java. We'll talk. JavaScript is to Java as car is to carpet. The names are just related, which we'll talk about at some point. They're not related at all. It was a marketing stunt. So at some point I want to show you this, but here it shows you your site name. See up here, it shows you your site name. And so what you can do is you can actually click run and it will show you your empty site. So we can go in here and put some HTML in here. So you actually don't even, you can just use straight up text. Hello world. All right. And you can click run. Boom. There's your, you just coded. Okay. So I mean, it's always fun to code on the first day, right? Yep. So you can actually go to my site and it's actually a thing as of this moment. And I could put whatever I wanted to in there. In fact, in the old days, I might have to put it back up here again. I took it down. I should put it back. I have a full-blown platformer game using Phaser running here. And who knows, you know, maybe in one of our off hours, I might actually teach you guys how to make a platformer using Phaser. However, we do learn how to make a platformer during the JavaScript, Eloquent JavaScript time. There's a platformer game using Canvas that we're going to make as a part of the project. And it's just a great way to learn about how JavaScript works and everything, and all of that. So and hello world. So let's actually make it a proper paragraph, and we'll do this. So this is another language here, and so we'll do that. Run that. Let's make it a header. It's like H1 is the one for header, so we're going to do H1. And all of this learning we're going to go through the web book, so make sure you look at the overview. We're going to be using the hands down the standard textbook for learning web development is called Learning Web Design by Jennifer Robbins, and the book is listed under /books. It's also eventually going to be linked below. But if you want to get if you go to /books, rwx.gg/books, you can get those books and you can start working on anything anytime. There's nothing that says you have to work on things in order. It's just try to set up an order. Does REPL run into issue with the code not dumping the last set of commands? And with the console, oh no, you were trying to do the console with the Eloquent JavaScript. Yeah, this will be the console was just kind of a way to get your bearings and stuff. So yeah, if you want to, this is going to be much more stable for that. But tomorrow we're going to show you how to do all of that using GitLab. However, if you are still kind of leaning towards using an internet tool, I'm not opposed to you guys using Replit and making a decision to jump over and use VI in the terminal for your editing on your own time. This is why I'm showing you Replit today. So I have to be careful, because a lot of times I'm just going to confess something here. I stopped showing Replit to people that I private mentor because it is so enticing. You can write code so quickly and so easily. They have succeeded in their goal almost too much. So you almost don't want to leave it. And so you can use VI at Replit. No, you can't. You can use Vim bindings, but it's not VI. You can go to the command line and use VI, but it's a little bit different. It's not, it's a container, and yes, it's VI on the back end, but it's not VI as you normally would use it. Yes. I know you can like fire up a bash shell and then subshell out of it and then use VI, Bear, if that's what you're talking about. So, but my point is that when we use VI, we're going to use VI as in the workflow of a professional developer. And that means that you're going to be using VI from a terminal. So tomorrow, one of the top priorities tomorrow is to get you an actual terminal. When I show you Replit today, I don't want you to get too married to it. However, if it means that you can work through the web development book more reliably, go for it. Go for it. Whatever it takes to get you learning that material. And you have a lot of options here. Okay. But these are all good options. There's lots of other options out there that I don't think are nearly as good as these. So there's web development world. You can practice that. You can write in your console. You can say console.log, hello world, hello world from the console. Let's do that. So now what? Now I'm going to run it. And hey, where's my script? Oh, there it is down here. But check it out. This is even better. So you can go ahead and click this little thing here. Check, this is the coolest thing of all. This is a legitimate site. So this little Replit site is on the web. It's like on the web. You can send your friends to it right now. So, I mean, I'm not going to lie. That's probably the fastest real-time web development available, period, for learning. So if you want to practice on projects like this, this is a good way to practice doing that kind of development. In fact, it's so real. It even put, dark mode on. But here's why it's cool, because you can go in here and you can look at your console and let me zoom in on here and you can see hello world from the console, right? You can see some of the other problems with it. My point is that when you're doing web development on REPL, it is legit. I mean, it is like legit. You can put your games there and have other people play on those games. You can and it's got your name in it. So Replit is a fantastic tool if you have internet access and want to do the development this way. Any amount of config is a barrier to entry. That's super cool. Their entire shtick, their whole thing is removing all the noise between getting you to development. You literally click on a button and you're in an IDE and you're developing. People use JS Fiddle for fun things. That even better than that, guys. I'm talking about another one. CodePen is going to be a big one too. CodePen. But here's my take. My disagreement with JS Fiddle and CodePen is very, simple. They don't have you produce actual pages. So I have had this problem over and over and over with people who use CodePen and JS Fiddle, is because they don't know the form of a web page. They don't know to put doc type and HTML at the top, because those other sites don't have you create full pages. They have you create snippets of what goes in the page and then they wrap it. And I cannot tell you how many beginners I have had get totally confused about. I ask them on their own. I give them the HTML5 challenge. I say, make a web page, and they can't do it because they don't know that the pieces all go together. So the only thing I will recommend to you is Replit and GitLab, which is what we're going to use tomorrow. Tomorrow, GitLab has a full-blown editor, and combined with Netlify, you can get a pretty close to real-time preview, but it's not nearly as real-time as Replit is. The difference is that it's already published using the same way that you are going to publish professionally. You're going to use the Jamstack, and if you edit using the GitLab editor, or you edit using the editor for VI or VS Code or whatever your choice is, they're the same. Replit is different, right? If you put something on Replit, you've got to copy and paste it and move it over. However, they added, I haven't used it yet, but they have added a GitHub integration into Replit, which allows your Git repos to automatically synchronize with the repls that are over here. So I just want to make you available for that. 6-minute Rob will have had enough web tools, so he'll be building his own buffered SFTP-based collaborative coding environment. You know what? I already tried that, and when I saw Replit, I said, "Oh, thank you for doing that. Now I don't have to do it anymore." Powered by Potato for internet development. Yeah. So here we go. So we've got, this is just the basics. This covers the second, the next set of languages, which is, so after we learn a little bit of Bash, so we can have fun on the command line, we're going to learn. No, we're not going to master Bash scripting, in the first week or two. But we are going to go through all of the syntax of Bash. We're not going to skip anything there. And it's probably not the best first language, but it is useful. It's immediately useful, and I decided to go ahead and do that, despite the voice in my head that says, "Well, gosh, Bash syntax is horrible for beginners," and it absolutely is. But the empowerment of knowing Bash early on from the command line cannot be overstated. I mean, and so we're going to come back to that. But web development, of course, the second most empowering, if not the first most empowering thing. So, this, when you learn web development, the sky's the limit. You can literally make any app at that point. All of the apps that you use today, Discord, Slack, hate it or like it, they're using Electron. They are web technology. So web technology is the first technology you should learn, in terms of like really serious applications-based technology, even if you don't choose to work in it later. If you're going to be a pen tester, you have to know it. You can't even break into Hack the Box to create an account unless you know the stuff that we just did today. You have to know this stuff. So if you want to be a legitimate hacker, you got to know it. In fact, it's kind of kindergarten. It's kind of kindergarten knowledge in terms of technology. People expect you to know web development. They might not even list it on a job application. They expect that it's someplace along in the path you've learned HTML, and that's that bears itself out in the fact that most school districts will cover HTML to some point, except for one recently that I heard about that covers Wix as for their web development class, which is fine. No, don't use Python for no. Python is in my opinion, and Django are dated legacy technologies at this point, but I'm not going to go down that road right now. So stick with the basic web pages. Stick with static content, by the way. These guys are asking about Python and Django and stuff like that. Those are back-end web technologies, and we'll get into that when we talk about web development, but don't sweat it right now. We're talking about just making web pages, making games, making front-end things, making your own profile site. We're not talking about any fancy stuff that happens on the server side, it's called, which is the back end, which can most of the stuff that you used to have to depend on that server for can now be done in the web browser. It doesn't even have to go back to a server at all. In fact, there's a hashtag serverless movement where you don't even need a server. So we're going to talk about all of that during the web development course. So again, this is kind of an overview of the languages. The next language after this that we're going to learn is going to be C. And this is where we're going to start losing people. But I am so excited about this. Now that we have Headfirst C, which is kind of it's got some problems, I'll grant you that. But it is a very, very low level introduction to C. And why C? So we're going to go to C because we're going to go see what C has, right? Not C++, by the way. C++ and C are not the same language. We will never do C++ anytime in any of this beginner boost, nor will I ever code C++ on my stream ever. So if you want C++ development, go someplace else. There's lots of other places you can learn that. Yes, we are going to program a microcontroller. Yes. So we're going to program a moisture sensor in using an Arduino. So, and that is a part of the project that is inside of the book. I've been modifying the project to use, we're not going to do it in assembly, but you probably could. If you wanted to do it in assembly, you could. All C is compatible with C++. No, that's not true. That's one of the biggest myths ever. We're not going to do any OOP other than to talk about it. OOP is no. We'll talk about what OOP is when we get into structured development in C and we get into structured development in Golang. We will talk about object-oriented programming, but we won't do any. The closest thing we're going to get to object-oriented programming is what's called component object programming or composable object programming. The OOP, I'm not going to teach it. We will talk about objects. Actually, the closest we're going to get to talking about OOP is we're going to talk about the class operator when we talk about JavaScript. Oh, that reminds me. I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Okay, so I'm sorry. Go back with me here for a second. So, data structures and algorithms in C. But we're not going to get deep into data structures and algorithms, okay? So we're rolling back. So when I talked about the web development languages, we're gonna do the web development languages, but we're gonna spend a long time on JavaScript. And the book for that is free. It's called Eloquent JavaScript. It's not perfect, but it's all here. Okay. And so you can work through the Eloquent JavaScript book today. You can like leave and start working on it right now. If you want to jump way ahead and just start working on your code in JavaScript, work through the book. It gets a little tough right around here in some of these projects. There is a project here that is, where is it? A pixel art editor, and they have a skill sharing website. They have a platformer game that's all written up. This is completely crowdsourced, by the way. So this is all pure Canvas, by the way. So this is pure Canvas. So yeah, that's going to be fun. And again, if you want to start on that right now and you don't want to wait to learn how to edit from the command line, you can gradually move over to the command line for your editing, and you can use Replit Intel then. So there's no shame in doing it that way. But what I wanted to say was a Replit here is that, so the actual next language besides this is JavaScript by itself. And since you guys were asking about the backend stuff, we're going to do a new REPL, and I'm going to start a Node.js REPL. Okay. And we're going to talk really quickly about what that is. Node.js is just JavaScript. It's not JavaScript in a web environment. It's JavaScript by itself. And as much as I might not like Node.js and don't think that it's going anywhere particularly interesting now that other alternatives exist, it's still very important that you know it. And it's actually one of the best ways to learn JavaScript because you can just use your command line. You don't have to use the web browser, even though JavaScript was invented for the web browser and should primarily be used for that, in my opinion. But you can go ahead and start a Node.js project, and you can do create REPL. And now what you have is something that's entirely different. And if you've done any Python programming, it actually looks a little bit like Python, because it's all command line. We have a command line over here. Wow, 12.16. That's good. They're pretty up to topic. So I love Deno. Oh my gosh, I love Deno. And when we do JavaScript, we're going to go into depth about where JavaScript came from, where Node came from, why JavaScript is so weird, and how Deno was an accident. It was a happy accident from someone saying, "Hey, what if I can run JavaScript on the web browser?" And it turns out that on the command line, I wonder if I can run V8 JavaScript on the command line. It turns out you can. And then Ryan Dahl just abandoned it completely, started coding in Go, and then now he's running the Deno project, which is Deno is it's kind of what is it, an anagram of Node, and so we'll talk about that. But what it is, if you're a beginner, all you really care about is that this is JavaScript on the command line. Okay, so here we go. So here, instead of saying print like you would do in Python, you can say console log hello world, and you run that, and so we get hello world. And because Node is asynchronous, you can do a lot better things. It's so much more fun to code in Node than Python. Can I just say? Because when you code in Node, you can do silly, simple things like have wandering monsters in your story game that happen at random intervals. You can do that in Python, but it's way, way more complicated than it is with Node. Node, you just set a timeout to go off every so often and have a function that runs every time that thing happens. It's incredibly easy. And so we actually might do a story game side project. It's a standard project. It's almost like Hello World for learning to code. Everyone does a story game when they're writing some code that runs on the command line, and so we might actually do a little bit of those extra projects, and I'll put those into the curriculum as needed, for you to kind of do for yourself, and then talk to you about how you could do that. Again, this is more of a discussion and a suggestion time than it is to show you how to do stuff. But some things I really believe in. So for example, an interactive conversational bot that talks to you, we have done that in the past. So these are all fun little projects you can do. And of course, ultimately the goal is that you're doing all of this development from the Linux command line, which is going to make you just like over 9,000 superpower when it comes to being able to write code. So here's the console log hello world. You can put that into a for loop or whatever. But if you want to jump ahead, if you're working on Eloquent JavaScript, can I just recommend, I've been talking to people about how they can just use the console, and I recognize, now that is not completely, the console is this inspect, right? You do the inspect element console over here, and you can actually do let's go clear ahead, clear all these errors. You can go ahead and right away, you can actually do all of this on the console.log hello world. And you can run JavaScript right here. And so if you want to, you kind of read the book and go through some of these exercises from the console, you're fine. But I just really want to hit home that JavaScript is available to you immediately. It's in your web browser. You can go play around with it. You don't have to install anything to leverage JavaScript. But if you want to practice command line JavaScript, otherwise known as Node or something, then yeah, you can go and you can do that on Replit. You can play around with it. Port Temple OS to JS if you want. There are timers in Python now. Well, we have to see. I mean, I would be interested to see those, Vera. So yeah, there are lots of languages, and so you can try out all of that kind of thing. Last time I looked at Python, there were at least like 5 different ways to do concurrency, and the only way to do what I wanted to do with set timeout was to create an event loop with callbacks. I only have 5 minutes left. Let's go back through the last 2 languages really quick. I might have to go over just a bit, but the last 2 languages, the one I already started, C. So C is how we're going to understand all other languages. And here's your void main. It's a very strict language in that you have to tell the language what things are. So in this case, it says, oh, I want an integer. And it's a compiled language, which we'll understand. And it also is the source of pretty much every other language that's ever existed was originally written in C, and until it became something else. So they're using C lang, which I do not like. I am not a fan of C lang. It's very, very popular with all the cool people, but I would rather use GCC. And the book we're going to be doing on this is called Head for C. And it includes an Arduino project that has a moisture sensor in it. It includes a 3D game. It includes a version of a 2D game that's compatible, could be sold in Steam or something. And yeah, my GCC with GCC, right? And but this is a way for you to try out C code if you want to. The primary reason we're using C is not so much that you're going to get a job coding in C, even though the entire embedded, the embedded engineer thing, the whole Internet of Things world is primarily C, C and C++, embedded C. There are other languages in that space. I'm just saying it's primarily C driven. I believe C is also the best language to learn data structures and algorithms because C doesn't come with them by default. So the reason you would need to know what a bubble sort is or a linked list is because C doesn't have it. Every other language has that. So we'll get into that. But basically, learning C means you understand every other language better and its syntax is similar to JavaScript, which is another reason I like JavaScript better than Python for a beginner, because the curly brackets and everything line up. They're not surprised when they have to use a curly bracket. Whereas a lot of people that use Python are suddenly surprised by the syntax of these other languages, and they don't like them, so they just say, I just like my Python, I'm not going to code in anything else ever. I've seen that happen, by the way. One of the biggest complaints I have against Python for beginners is that it creates people who don't want to code in any other language because they think it's just so awesome. And in many ways, it is awesome. But machine learning, built-in data structures, conditions, by the way, are really great. But it's missing a lot of other basic important things too. So JavaScript is more empowering. It's got more stuff for a beginner, and it looks a lot more like C. So when you come to C, you're like, oh, that doesn't look too much different. It's different, of course, but it's not too much different. So then we have C, and then the last language is my favorite language on planet Earth right now because of its power and breadth. It has everything Python wants and more. And it's also becoming the hottest language for cybersecurity. Although it's not, Python is still solidly acknowledged as the main language for cybersecurity and things like that. But Go is quickly taking over the world in this front. There's another fun languages out there. So let me just show you Go, and then we can play around with some of the esoteric languages. But we need to get ready to raid somebody at 2, and I want to end on time. So the other REPL I'm going to create is Go. So Go with our Gopher. And this is, you'll see that it looks a lot like C as well. So here it is. In fact, it was made by some people who helped create the C language, including Tan Thompson, the creator of the Unix operating system from which Linux was derived. The creator of Unix was one of the 3 people who built Go. So if for no other reason, you should care what Go is about, because Ken Thompson helped make it. If not, he was one of the 3 who did make it. It has full Unicode support. It has from the beginning. Rob Pike and Ken Thompson were part of the principal people who created the Unicode standard. No other language can say that. No other language can say that these people were involved in the creation of the language. There are great languages out there, but none of them have that amount of really intense experience and brain power behind the language when it was created at Google specifically to solve very complex, very big problems in the simplest possible way. So Go is not completely memory safe C. The answer for memory safe C would be Go is more memory safe. I think saying Go is a memory safe C is fair, but if you really want a memory safe language, you want Rust, and Rust and Go are not competitors. Okay, let me just put that out there right now. I don't have time to do Rust in our beginner boost. If I did, I would definitely put it in there, because Rust will put you into a frame of mind where you're experiencing lots of other things. So let's look at what a Rust looks like. So Rust is the other language. If you're going to go off after this, I would do some Rust or some Ruby or some Python. Python is a good language after these if you've learned these other languages. This is good old Rust. So there you go. Rust is a very, very popular language. It's heralded as the safest language on planet Earth, and I agree. You can't make memory buffer overflows. You can make race conditions, but you cannot write them. It's impossible. Rust enforces things like boundary checks. It is the safest low-level language to write in, which is extremely liberating to a beginner who wants to write safe system-level code and doesn't ever even want the slightest hint that their code is going to show up on the front page of news someday as some bug that they might have written in C. And we'll understand why that is and why these other languages are important, having gone through C, where you have to allocate memory. And what is memory? There's a lot of questions here we have to really answer. But yeah, well, the error handling is fine. I mean, most people hate the forced error handling. They want exceptions and stuff. We can talk about that. Again, language is the best tool for the job. And since we're learning a number of tools to put in your tool chest that will have value no matter what, whatever occupation you tend to go to. And then if you want to add into your tool chest, secondary languages like Python or like Rust or Java even, or Kotlin or Haskell or Erlang or all these wonderful things, you can do that. And the thing that's really great about that is you can add them here. And so I'm going to end on one fun language. I mean, again, you can write, we're not going to do BrainF. BrainF is too intense. Lolcode. Have you guys seen Lolcode before? And this will be the end of our presentation today. I'm going to wrap it up. But so Lolcode it says it doesn't have any examples. Let's go find an example. Look at this language, man. This is literally the language. May the fourth be with you. I has a color, it's green, color WTF. OMG red, OMG yellow. That's how you say print. Visible color fish, GTFO. OMG green, visible fish, blah, 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 OIC. This is an actual language. Doge. I think I've heard about Doge. Yeah, this language is cool. This is actually a language. Isn't this great? It's like I can has a subroutine. I has cheeseburger. It's hot. Cheeseburger is the name of the function. How does I numb your FUD? Visible, I numbed your FUD. Visible is print, I think. Visible icon has cheeseburger. Oh, look, they have a what's a template literal? If you say so. So if you say so is the end of that loop. I know, isn't this great? This language is yeah. This is fun. Num cookie, cheeseburger are cold. Num chocolate. Hello world, visible hello world. Okay, here we go. Input, I has a name. Give me name. Visible, your name is name. It's just so much fun. So another silly one is BrainF. The F stands for you know what. And this actually, I found out about this language. This language is created to it was originally created for compiler competitions. Yeah, so this is why we're kind of going over. This is BrainF. This is a language, and it actually, I don't know it. I don't know it. I've been wanting to learn it. If you understand BrainF, apparently you understand assembly better, because I don't know this for sure, but I've heard that BrainF was created for compiler competitions. And so people who are writing compilers were competing to see who could make the most efficient compiler for the language. And so this is a thing apparently. So if you're really, really, really into low-level languages and compiling them and understanding them, I mean, this is not something I would want to do. This actually means something. This is really fun to get a sense of what the computer sees versus what we see, and to talk about the different layers of complexity and understanding between converting something into a bunch of ones and zeros so the computer can understand it, and what a human understands, and just the nature of computer programming languages and what it means to be low level, which is this, or high level, like Icon has, locats. That's a very, very high level language. The higher the language, the easier it is for humans to understand, but the less efficient. The lower the language, the more efficient it is, but the harder it is to write. So that whole thing is really, really fun. I'm ready to raid. So we're going to go, Morse code, right? And we're going to talk about Morse code actually when we talk about languages. Thank you so much for your first day. Come on by. I'm going to close it off right now. If there is somebody to raid, I'm happy to raid. Otherwise, I need to end on time so I can trim this video and get it out. Although I apologize, it won't be out for 24 hours. I need to wait. So awesome first day. I'm off to sleep. Okay, so tomorrow, guys, tomorrow you want to get ready to have, I'm going to be editing the tomorrow's day schedule. So check the day schedule throughout the day today. I will be posting that. But tomorrow we're going to be spending almost the entire day playing with the command line, getting your first exposure to it, setting up GitHub and GitLab, and talking about why you need them. So we're going to set up a true development environment as much as we can tomorrow morning. I mean, and this is all to get you going. This is a great fallback from the stuff that's going to be a little harder to do starting tomorrow. So anyway, let's see. Who should we go? Anthony writes code. I don't know. CM Griffin, he's good. I'm happy to hit anybody. CM Griffin is a great web developer. He does a lot of React development. I'm not a fan of React. I would really love to raid somebody small. Does anybody have a recommendation for somebody small to raid? Somebody who's and I don't mean that to be, whatever. Thanks Games. Sure. Have a good day. Should we scare that person? Super hype. Me. Yes. Anybody who wants to stream, I'm happy to raid you. Raidception. We got raided? Did we just get raided? On the last minute? We just got raided at the end. What? Who's raiding us? Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, I guess we can hang. I can always highlight it and chop it. I don't mind hanging around for another 10 minutes or so. Continue for an hour. We're gonna raid again. We should catch up on the raids, right? Lanaloo raid. Oh, that's nice. Thanks for the raid, guys. That's really fun. It's funny because we just wrapped up our Linux Beginner Boost Day 1, which will be on YouTube in 24 hours. But that will be there. Hey, Redasher. How's it going, my guy? For those of you who rated, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over the schedule and talk about some things you can do and what we do here, unless anybody has a specific question. So anybody hit with negative experience of Windows subsystem for Linux? I love it. Oh, by the way, guys, here's I wrote up a thing on it. So here is the Windows subsystem for Linux stuff. GG/WSL. If you follow that, it will work. I've now had 7 people go through that and step by step and had WSL set up on Windows 10 without a problem. and we're talking about the old WSL. We're going to talk about WSL tomorrow. If you want a terminal on your Windows machine, the fastest, not just a terminal. If you want Linux, that is the fastest way to get Linux. It's now my recommendation above even setting up a virtual machine. We will not be going through virtual machine setup tomorrow. I have problems with the terminal and NVIM. Yeah, we'll talk about learning NVIM editing. I don't use NVIM in that. I just use the standard Vim that comes with it. Is it possible to get alternative color schemes for the web page instead of black and white? Probably, but not right now. You do know you can get white, right? If you want to change it to white, you just click on that thing. Did you know about that? I don't know if I talked about that. So on a good old RWX web page, I believe in high contrast content. I don't really care about stuff. So block your eyes, people, if you don't want to get blinded. But if you click on the white button here, it'll change if you want white. Okay. I am a black and white person. I don't believe in more because I know it's a lot of white. Yeah, so if you prefer a white on black background, I'm actually trying to change that, Shikeo. I'm actually trying to put like one of those diamond things there that shows you guys are blinded. If you like to be blinded, right? But some people older and more still like MinGW. No, WSL MinGW is behind GitBash. The WSL, look, we're just trying to get a terminal in a way that is standard and supported by Windows, and WSL is the fastest way. And the new operating system for Windows is due out any day now, and when that comes out, WSL will be built into Windows by default. It's not even something you have to install. So when that day comes, the standard recommendation for everybody will be to use Ubuntu that comes with WSL2 that's built into Windows 10 or to the further versions of Windows. So my decision to recommend Windows WSL 10, which version 10, let's be real. The first version of WSL is not particularly impressive. It's cool, but it's not. It's got problems, right? First of all, it's an emulation of Linux. It's got a kernel layer. It's not true. WSL2 is slated for that release and will be built in as May 13th. So the reason that I am shifting my recommendations to WSL for Windows users is because it's going to become a big part of the standard. Docs are missing an important part of WSL2. What are you talking about? If you're look, WSL2 can't be installed yet. I don't think, Vera, unless you have do you know? I mean, we're off the clock here. So Vera, do you know if WSL2 has some standard installation? If you can give me the information on how to install WSL2 on a Windows 10 system, I appreciate that. No. See, I can't recommend that to a beginner who has Windows 10 that came with their computer. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, I haven't figured out how to get Kubernetes to work on WSL2. That would be interesting to figure out. Beginners, if you're still watching, please don't glaze over. I don't want you to feel frustrated by our conversations about WSL2 and what it is and stuff. This is us trying to prepare for you and getting a terminal so that you can run and do true Linux. And these are ways to do that on a Windows system. It's called using a thing called the Windows subsystem for Linux, which is now officially part of Windows, and they made a really big stink about it. This install, you can do WSL2 install on Windows 10? Windows 10? Oh, it's only the Insider program. Yeah, I can't suggest that. I mean, it's cool if you guys want to help each other to find that, but I can't officially recommend that because it's so many people that I help, including several who are on the stream today that I recognized, don't even know what that is. So, what if I already have a bash terminal set up and running on a VM? That's totally fine. It's however you want to get bash running, and we're going to talk about that. But tomorrow we're going to kind of jump the gun on setting up a running Linux in the calendar, guys. Just so you know, so the calendar is so the overview. If you go back to the calendar, to our raiders, if you're still here, raiders, this is what I was going to show you. If you go to rwx.gg, you can follow along in what we're covering in this course, which is a 16-week intensive beginner boost course. That gives you a sense of Linux and everything else that's out there, that you could be doing. And so here we go. So we have RWX the overview. If you click on the overview, it'll show you all these things. And I'm just going to the weekly topics for a second to talk about this. So right here, running Linux is where we're going to talk about what's a virtual machine, how to run it on hardware. But this first week, I at least want to get people a terminal in their hand on the first week, if not the first day, second day. I want people to immediately start familiarizing themselves with the command line. That's just a big thing for me. I don't want to wait until week 4 to introduce the command line. So, yep. No, this is EDT. It's over here. So EDT, Eastern Daylight Time, -04. So yeah. Let's see. Never mind that release. I just got 2 weeks due to the 0 day. Did they have a 0 day? Seriously? It's now May 28th. Okay. So that's something. If you guys are just following along, what Vera's talking about is Microsoft is about to release a new version of Windows that will have a very powerful form of Linux built in, as far as I know. Do you guys know if they still have to use do they have to use the store to get it, or is it going to be on there already? You might want to use install oh, that's nice. Thank you for all that. When you guys start sending out these resources, I'll start to add them to the, can I also, another thing I want to do, Local Padre, I want to start encouraging people to submit tickets on pages that they have resources for. You follow what I'm saying? So those of you who, if you come across a page in here in the RWX stuff, unless you can't want to read, the homework for today is play around with Replit and make sure you have all those accounts that we talked about, and prepare for tomorrow by installing GitHub and GitLab as much as you can, and then we'll do that. So it's not set up yet, but so down at the bottom, down at the bottom of these pages is an open a ticket link, and right now the open the ticket link is generic. It's just generic for the whole site. But that would really help me. So if you can click on open a link and you say you should add this to this page, and you write it, if you write it out, I'll put it in there. And so that's a way that we could kind of jumpstart contributions to the actual content. I'm still putting a lot of stuff and migrating a bunch of stuff from other sources. But if you have like a really good link or you want a reminder, oh dude, you really need to talk about this here, click on open a ticket and actually submit a ticket, and I'll make that'll keep that, it's just going to get scrolled off on the chat here. I'm not going to see it. But if you do that like puts it right in front of me, and I can either say, oh, this is a great idea, or I can cancel it and say that's, something I want to do later, or go someplace else. So anybody who wants to actually help contribute to the documentation, who specifically sees something wrong with a page in particular, please feel free to open a ticket and add some. I don't know about pull requests. I'm happy to entertain pull requests. This would be the first time I've had, just like any pull request, I'm gonna put you through the ringer on that and make sure your language is good and blah blah blah, right? And when you do a pull request, by the way, you need to make sure to, this is a little bit annoying, I know, but you need to render the page, and so I'll need to show you how to do that. But for right now, if you just put the stuff you want to change into a ticket, you can do it that way. I've taken some criticism over the fact that I require index.html to be installed in the system by itself. But I want to do the rendering before it gets saved into GitLab. People say, oh, you should do that during automatic continuous deployment, and I'm not a fan of that. So contributors will be expected to render their own pages. It's not hard. You can do it with like one pandoc line. Did not try. So I'll show you how to do that if you want to start doing it. But anybody who really wants to contribute, I'm starting to get to the point where I can really use your help. And I'm going to start putting bounties and opening tickets with bounties on them, saying I need a page that talks about this. I need a page that talks about networking. Ramingu's been helping me on that. We need to talk. But I don't know when. I want to go do my yoga. Yoga. All right. So Raiders, thank you for coming by. I hopefully you'll have fun here learning about Linux and how to code, and potentially how to hack if you like that kind of thing. Ooh, what do we got here? We got some new Twitter. Of course, this is all going to get cut. Oh, look at that. That was really nice. That's some nice references. Appreciate the references, people. That's fun. Raid the chicken channel. Everybody does that. I'm not a fan of that. So is there somebody here? Let's do this. Oh wow! Thanks for the resub. Oh, you know what? I broke my top. Somehow I broke my top. I think I need to get my. I think I need to re-up my token. I don't want to do that right now, but extra fonts. About to do a Python class on Udemy. Thinking you Ubuntu. Well, if you're asking about IDEs, you're asking the wrong person. First of all, Python's not my favorite. My stream is over, guys. I got raided, so I decided to hang around for a bit. My recommendation is Vim from the command line, but many people use VS Code or PyCharm. So I know people in our chat who love PyCharm for Python development, and I know people who love VS Code for Python development. I am very solidly in the Vim camp. I just use my terminal for development. I don't use an IDE. Yep, and there's a lot of other people that agree with that. But that's yeah. I mean, I had to because I got raided. Goland. A lot of people love Goland. Yeah, and that's, you know, if you're an IDE person, and yeah, I'm not here to judge you. I have strong opinions about those things. I do not use them. I think Golang is beautiful as an IDE, as IDEs go. I really do. There's no way in hell I'll ever use it. But the only reason I would ever use an IDE is if I had over, 8,000, 9,000 lines of code, and I need something bigger to manage a project. That's just not my style. So, Kip Vanderzee, ever run a virtual machine? Yep, we do it all the time. In fact, running Linux, on the day when we do running Linux, we're going to go through that. So running Linux is going to include how to run a VM. I'm actually building an Arch VM, but it's kind of been put on hold until I get more runway in front of me for this course that we're doing. TTY font. If you're just starting, don't use PyCharm if you're just starting. I don't know. I've never actually used it. I'm just reporting what I've heard other people use. So what else we got? Anything? Do we have somebody to raid yet? Who are we going to raid? Oh my gosh, there's 215 people in the chat. Holy cow! I've never seen that many people on my chat. Who should we raid? This is a fun raid. We need to find somebody like really fun. I love like sneaking up on people. Don't you guys? Isn't it fun to sneak up on them? Yeah, we should like sneak up on people. We like go. You've heard my Elmer Fudd impression? We're hunting. We're raiding. Yeah, like fine. Casual's my... Oh, you want to see my commands? Okay, here's my focus command. Here's my ignore command. Here's my focus command. Here's my casual command. Here's my chat command. Oh man, that's nice. And then we have this. Then we have this. So check this out. Then we have... Wait. I think it's stats. Oh man, it's probably gonna break. Chat. Let's see. Let's see. Casual. What did I call it? Stats. I think. Casual stat. So that's apparently. Oh, it broke. It definitely broke. It can't show all the nicks. That's kind of fun. So that's what that is. And then chat is like the whole chat. So yeah. Yeah, I know. We need to raid somebody. Oh, wait. Zero, who we got? CO. Yeah, you found one? Oh, here we go. All right. It's been really fun, people. We'll see you tomorrow. And go practice coding. Go have some fun. All right. Let me know if it takes, people. and then we'll see how it goes. Did it take? Did the raid take? If the raid take, then you're on your way. You have to sit around and wait for it. I do not have a way to speed that up, unfortunately. You're going to have to bear with the silence for a little bit while we figure stuff out. I can't tell you how grateful I am that you guys stopped in. And I will try my hardest to stay ahead of you in terms of coding. What's your homework? Go write some code. Go experiment on Replit. Set up those accounts. If you want to, go ahead and get yourself a GitHub and a GitLab account. Make sure you do it with Protonmail, though. I mean, I really want you to do that because you don't want to have to redo it later. I should get a raid call. I should get like one of those things that you can like a horn, like blowing a horn or something. Are we gone? Or is it gone? Bob, it's good to see you, friend. And we're gonna head off. And you can watch for this on YouTube in like 24 hours. I can't set it up before that. Break things. Yes. Don't be afraid to fail. Wise words from Mr. Scream. Are you guys gone? You must be gone now. I think the raid ended. I'm going to go ahead and end right now if you're still here. So here comes my Twitch stop. Okay. Bye.